That's for you, Hooper. Does that sound fake to you? You son of a bitch! I gotta stop screaming. I truly am. How are you feeling, Sarah? Forget about me. Enough about me. Sarah, I think you're muted. If you are at all. No,
No,
but you
I'm
do
not
hear me, right?
muted. I'm
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sarah. What are you doing?
oh god. I'm not muted.
Okay. How are you
We just had a
feeling?
burp. I am on day 12 of antibiotics.
Oh
So
God.
I have I will be finishing up Saturday. So if this ear will open up so I can hear, I'll be great.
Oh, it's the worst. This chick's got the
yeah.
immune system of out from Alan Ruck, for Christ's sake, huh?
Well, apparently, according to my doctor, I got hit so severely with head cold after head cold, my immune system shut down about number 3. So it turned into
Oh
pneumonia,
God.
and here we are. Now I'm just
Here
waiting for
we
the
I'm
ear
so
infection
are.
to go
sorry.
away. That's all right.
You became. I knew how deft you were on the mute button because it was just. I'm like, what is going on?
That was
And you're
horrible.
coughing the whole time. The last time we did a show, it was crazy. I can't remember if it was one of these or if it was Jump Street. You were in batch. I think if you, I've
Oh,
never
it
heard
was
someone sound that sick on mic before.
it was horrifying. It was like a machine gun going off. Thank
Okay.
God for mute. And I would be during that show when we lost Mr. Smith. I'm muted.
Okay, that's the one.
I'm
Right. Right.
yeah, I'm running to the sink to vomit because I'm coughing so violently.
Oh
This is
God.
horrifying, but yeah, and when you're and I had worked this whole time. I did 20 hours of overtime that week with pneumonia.
Oh,
So when you cough nowadays, there's a stigma in an office
right.
and they think you do have AIDS or
Right.
it's airborne AIDS and they're going to get it and they're going to sue you for everything that you're worth. Anyway. So, yeah, it was horrifying.
You sound better, and I'm not trying to be like Pollyanna here, but you do sound definitely 300% better than that. With and by the way, A. Smith, thank you for joining us that time. I know understood what you had to do. Totally understood. That's fine. If you talk
Yeah, it was
about
no big deal.
An A. Smith exit, an Irish exit is nothing on an A. Smith. It's like he dropped a smoke pellet on the ground and went. It was just gone right in the middle of like whoa. What was the episode again, Sarah?
It was a crappy episode, that's all I remember.
It was really bad. Oh man. Oh god.
The
No, no, no. Yeah.
racism
Yes. Racist
episode.
high school. I got a question for everybody. And by the way, Kathy Scott, thank you for agreeing to join us on the next one. You ought to be in prison. There's going to be several prison. Not that you're like, Miss, like you're Edie Falco from Oz, but just your insight on this because I would love to have you throw some questions about the entire system off you, and because Jump Street keeps going back. Depp himself is imprisoned in season 4, episode 1. So thank you for joining us
Well,
and I want to apologize because Friday night, I spent 4 hours going over preparation for that Jump Street episode, only to find out that I was so sick I couldn't speak and I couldn't sleep. So I have sleep apnea, and my sleep apnea caused the sickness I have because I slept with my mouth open and you're breathing in whatever, there's non moisture or no humidity or something. And it turned into this horrible. You can probably hear me now. I think I sound hoarse. I'm
a
sure
little
I
bit,
do.
but you're okay.
And 4 hours
I like
of
the
preparation.
punctuation of the throat clear there, just to prove you're sick.
Don't you love this? You can't even everybody just doubts you're sick. We're all fake. We're
I
all
know.
arty from that
Yeah.
prank call that we were faking sick. And I'm gathering clips from Tony Todd and Platoon and interviews with Reggie Dorsey and all this stuff as relates to this next episode. Shannon Tweed interviews. I'm jerking off to Night Eyes 3 with Andrew
Ugh.
Stevens and Shannon Tweed. And
Andrew
all
Stevens
for this
first, right?
one this episode. And I
Priorities.
couldn't so I go to bed at 6 a.m. after this.
You're crazy.
6:30 a.m.
Oh my God.
Couldn't sleep, just rolling around. I'm gasping. I'm waking up with that same thing. I can't close my I have like sleep apnea. I can't sleep. And so Sarah does the sweetest thing ever. I get a package in the mail. I open it up, and I'm like, oh, my Matthew Modine and Vision Quest. It looks like wrestling headgear, and it's supposed to like close your mouth when you're sleeping. It's like a chin strap, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm special ed Jim Florentine walking me to the playground.
I know. I sent it next day delivery too, so you need to like really appreciate me.
I do. How did you find out about that?
You told me. How would I know?
See, if we were really smart, we would be doing a commercial for it right now. What's the product called, Sarah?
I don't even know. It was
That'll
off
be our
Amazon.
first ad. That'll be our first. Hey, if I could, I'll promote anything that I could stand by.
I really want to though. Like I should have attached like a dildo to the chin, and you could have opened it up and really had a good time.
You're always in emasculation mode, aren't you? Even in this situation, it is crazy. Adam Hooper goes, Sarah, this is all. I'm not going to make it today. I'm going to the doctor. I'm getting antibiotics. And, okay, I'm going to come in tomorrow.
Jesus Christ.
That's a real cough. I feel I have a decent energy though. I think it's all about do you have the motor? I mean, I knew I was beyond it because I was really run down for this race. So it's really about the energy almost as much as it's about the voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, A. Smith, once again. Hooper, welcome. Babe Lewis, Kylo, Sierra Alpha. And I'm not one who low talks, I'm a Long Island loudmouth. I have to be at a 10. It's always screaming. It's like my friends would just scream over each other all the time growing up, and it became like this.
Yeah.
Who can out octave the other guy? And that's just like a very normal. If you hear the entire Stern show, like the whole damn cast is from Long Island, right? They're all fucking loudmouths. They're all Long Island loudmouths.
In order to survive in their families, they had to talk the loudest.
Yeah, that's not bad. And by the way, Debbie, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Can you tell her, give a fourth wall to your brilliant career? Tell everybody the mom music that you're working on, which I cannot wait to hear because I know I'm thinking about doing Deppioki to this. Believe it or not.
Yeah, well, it was so funny because we covered it on a Jump Street episode, but there was a request to do the Christopher Cross song. Swept Away. Sorry, it was like Drift Away. What is it called?
Yeah. I love it. It's the same thing. If he changed Drift for Swept, I don't think anybody would care.
No one would care. Exactly.
Drift away.
Yeah. So we always get horrible, as I've told you before. Like Joe Buck requested "I've Had the Time of My Life." At that
I love that.
Played. So we always get requests for yacht rock mom music. It's hilarious.
I love the intro for you. The only man that can play Josh Brolin and Troy Aikman's wedding.
And Topher Grace.
And Topher Grace. Oh my God. You see, here's the thing. If we knew, like, the questions I would ask Kurtwood Smith about 21 Jump Street, because he was there. Kurtwood Smith is on two different. Spencer Phillips.
Right, I was on that episode.
Yeah, yes, you were. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
Grace. So yeah, I think I explained before, but his wedding was just like family. It was like 25 people, and it was none of the.
He's the father. He's the father. He's family.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That he wouldn't have. So it was just this small wedding. He married some like CW actress or something.
Of course.
I don't even know who she is, but
that's so. David, did you ever hear? Because you love Everwood was the reference, right? That I love so much.
Yes.
That it was. I think the Entourage did this. Entourage could be like a cheesy show, but it could be great sometimes.
Yeah.
The way kind of take these Hollywood tropes, and they said like one of the things like superstars do is they basically look at CW, like if you're an A-list guy, not that Topher Grace is,
right,
but just like someone who's like B+ list and above, they literally have their agent comb through CW actress profiles, and then they set them up with the person because they're not, you know what I mean? Like they're so low in the total of Hollywood because they're CW actors. It won't be any difficulty at all. And they're usually really hot. They're really right out of modeling school. It's all about looks on CW. There's nothing about talent. Means nothing on that channel.
Gene Hackman is not going to be on a CW show. It's very true.
Jeez.
But yes, I totally believe that, and it's interesting because Josh Brolin's daughter, I guess, is on the show Yellowstone, which I didn't know
Okay.
until I
Another Nepo baby. It doesn't
totally.
stop. It doesn't
Yeah, no,
stop.
it's dynasties of Nepo babies, but I didn't know. I thought she was on a CW show before I played that wedding. I didn't really research her, and because she is that kind of, you're not quite Christy Turlington, but you could maybe do porn.
That's exactly right. Right, exactly right. They're actresses who are almost hot enough to be actual models, and the
Right.
guys are the same thing. They have just
Yes.
enough charisma to pull off TV. If you watch like any of those like DC Comics CW shows like Arrow and they're all that. They're all those people. Just miss being like a model type. You're so right.
Well, and it's probably that they don't have the like the humor of like a Robert Downey Jr. to pull off.
Yeah,
being
they're
a movie
missing the
star.
je ne sais quoi to get to the next level. Right.
Right. They can't be witty in a Marvel movie. They're too like, dead behind the eyes. So it's like, throw them on a soap opera.
Could you imagine? Can you as a casting agent? Like, look, welcome to the CW family. I know you're just dead enough behind the eyes to be part of the show. Welcome aboard.
Oh my god, I would be like Judd Apatow, like trying to resuscitate all my like 90s heroes career. I'd try to resuscitate Ginny Garofalo's career and just throw her in something.
Oh God, Pete Davidson had a really funny line at the Adam Sandler tribute at the PBS. It was like the Mark Twain Award, and he said something like this. He goes, Adam, do me one favor. If you die, please tell Judd Apatow to not do a 14-hour documentary on you on HBO.
That's funny.
He gets a lot of shit, but occasionally you got to give him credit for it too.
Yeah, I think his intake of success is out of proportion with how talented he actually is. But yeah,
totally.
Whatever.
Kylo, you're right. Sorry, get another compliment. Kylo says his intro is a masterpiece. I agree.
I gotta update it, but thank you very much, Kylo. Let me get to business first before, because I'm gonna forget.
Kylo said the same thing, by the way.
Thank you. My little arm fun graphic is not updated, so thanks to some pre-show donations, we are 150 away from the goal, not what it says there. So, but we are going to be doing some Patreon recordings tomorrow night and Wednesday night to make up for the time that was lost due to the sickness. And do you want to intro the new show we're going to be doing on Patreon?
Yeah, I just did before I do, I did the Andy Dick roast supersized spectacular.
Yeah.
I turned an hour and 15 minutes into 4.5 hours of
God.
banter. No, it's great dirt about the makings of it and who hates who,
Right.
and really it's a Robin Quivers roast because all they do, you see the true nature of that show and the tone, how everyone's so racist and fat shaming that they go right to it's the N words over and over again. It is so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. Howard tried to apologize to Robin the next day, and she wasn't having it. You could tell she wasn't having it.
No, please. She knows to let it go.
Oh, I actually felt sorry for her.
She's out on her fat ass if she gets too angry with him.
Yeah, I know, but this is bad. This is almost Daniel Carver kind of light in a way. The way it just turned on her, and I'm going to be doing that for all the roasts. So I haven't done Gary. I'm going to be the same thing where I'm going to take all the ancillary adjacent discussion about it, before it, after it, and all the different shows, throw it together with the actual video roast and put this together. I'm very proud of that. And I think Ronnie, Ralph, Daniel Carver, and Artie are left.
Cool.
So those should be good.
So I have to endure Shuley jokes.
Oh, well, you can make fun. I mean, too, you can find him bombing and stuff. You want me to edit it? That's fine. But
no. Put the whole
David
thing in,
C., thank you for your support and comments in that Patreon. Whatever requests you have, I'm totally game. Welcome T Busy. Welcome Subi Sue.
Thank you, by the way, Subi Sue.
She understands and she agrees, Sarah. You know
Thank you.
She's empathetic. Very
we
down
all
to
have
earth,
the sicknesses.
Welcome Zepp. Sarah, you are one tough cookie, and that's why
you know,
I think you wearing the FBI windbreaker is totally validated now.
So thank you. I appreciate that. And I would actually agree with you after these last 4 months. It's been misery. But my mom restocked my fridge. It's fine. She took me antique shopping. I had a coughing
fun.
fit in the antique store, and the old people thought they were going to die and catch it from me.
Oh my
So I almost
God.
got kicked out.
I
But
can't
she
think of a
bought.
worse place for you to be in than an antique store,
I
by
had
the
a
way.
mask on. Calm down, folks. But
Folks?
but she bought me this gorgeous lamp from the 70s. I am
Oh,
very
nice.
spoiled. I am an only child.
By the way, before I forget, David, what do you? The rap on you is going to be like, what do you only do? Marvel supervillain weddings? You got Venom,
That's
Topher.
right.
This just hits me now. Topher Grace's Venom and Josh Brolin's Thanos and
Oh
Cable.
my
Right? You'll
God.
be the guy
I
who
never
just
made.
does supervillain weddings.
Yeah, no, I never made that connection. That's
Eddie
so
Brock,
funny.
Venom, in Spider-Man 3. That was Topher Grace. He was my first choice to be Spider-Man before Tobey Maguire. I actually thought he was the perfect Peter Parker, and he probably wasn't a big enough name, but I thought he was like a perfect, and I kept pushing it, and oddly enough, he comes along and plays Venom.
I refuse to cast him in anything because he calls himself Topher.
Right, that's true. I never.
That
He was in
70s show. Go ahead, W.
Oh, sorry. He was in a like a rom-com that took place in the 80s, but it was made in like 2010 maybe. That it was nice to see him not play like the nebbish son on that
Yes.
70s show. Like I was like, oh, you actually are capable of kind of not being the nerd. His character on that 70s show felt very Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, just nervous, kind of neurotic
Yes.
energy. And I was like, you could probably play something suave, and I bet you would get better roles, you know?
It's tough to let go. That show was on the air for a long. How many years did it go? 9, 7, 8
sounds
seasons?
right.
9.
Way too long.
There wouldn't be
Yeah.
that 70s show if it wasn't for that 21 Jump Street show.
Didn't they try to do
Yeah.
like that 90s show?
Yes.
Yes, and
that
it was
80s show.
horrible.
That 80s show.
Oh, okay. That's
I think it was
horrible.
90s. It was 90s because they had Topher had kids, and it was. I think it took place in the 90s, but yeah, I mean, it was. I wasn't a fan of that 70s show, but that 90s show is just like you can hear the canned laugh. There's not even a studio audience.
Yeah. We're all right. We're all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Set in Wisconsin, right? It's all a bunch of
Yeah.
Wisconsin references, and they're always. Hooper wants to rub Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest, Sarah.
No, he wants to rub it on your chest.
Ah, okay. You got a deal, Hooper. You got a deal. Under the Smiths Point Bridge, you can do that while we listen to a Mets game in the fourth inning. But Hooper, do you think Howard Johnson's one of the most underrated baseball players of all time? I do. I believe he had did he have a 30-30 at one point? I was thinking about him the other day. Okay, so what we're gonna play here is Sarah's new tease of a
Sorry, I couldn't talk. But before you played, it's not really a surprise if you look at my avatar, or if you listen to our Patreon episodes of other shows, you probably know what this is. But go ahead and play it.
Here we go.
What are you doing?
The succubus
You're playing the...
who made me sick of myself.
You're playing the wrong thing.
Here you come again.
Oh my God.
Just when I've begun to get myself together, you waltz right in the door, just like you've done before, and wrap.
What are you doing?
Around your little
You're not supposed to be playing this.
Here you come again.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God.
Little teaser of the Deppioki that's coming. I was just fooling around with various mom music that Depp himself. I'm sure Betty Sue. How big a Dolly Parton fan do you think that Betty Sue is? You know she loves her some Dolly, right?
I need to edit you out.
Okay, so this is for real. Sarah's Golden Girls intro. And I believe it's.
Thank you for being a friend, a slut and a moron. 5 years younger than I am.
And what, Blanche? Dog years?
Dog years.
Step on a crack, break your mother's back. It doesn't work. I know.
Oh,
Very
yes.
nice, Sarah. That's perfect because David's going to be integral to that.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely happy
absolutely.
to sit in on those shows. Absolutely.
I will sit there and do 10 in a row. I love that show so much.
Yeah. Same.
How many times have you seen each episode?
100.
Well,
Easily.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it just for the. I'm going to see if they make any Miramar references. Because they're right there, right? Aren't they like in that sort of outside of Miami or something?
Yeah.
They are in. Okay, yeah, they are in Miami. If you, depending on the season, by the way, they could be right on the beach. If you look at the background of the lanai and the canvas background they've dropped, you see the ocean. Sometimes you see like just a jungle. Sometimes you see a city landscape. So they live where they want to live.
Do we get to see Estelle Getty in its thong?
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
No, I want to see Stan in a thong.
It's a wicker thong that Estelle Getty wears.
How much is B. Arthur's personality like Martha Ray? I don't know much about Martha Ray other than Mark
No.
Harris is
Nothing
David does.
Yeah, I mean, based on public image, Martha Ray is very much a try-hard. She's not wry or dry or anything like that. She's not the smartest person in the room. She's the joke. Like I would equate her more to like Betty White's character on Golden Girls.
Yep.
Mhm.
My only problem, and it's not a problem. I mean, they all every sitcom does this. Sometimes B. Arthur's comebacks are a little too quick, where she's saying the comeback before the line's even finished.
Right.
She's a gunslinger and she cannot wait to slay that person. It's so quick that it's hilarious that she just can't. She's thinking before her roommates are so stupid that she's got the one-liner out before they even set her up.
So Sophia too sometimes.
Yes.
You know, Sophia is my least favorite. Everybody loves Sophia.
Really?
She's my
What?
least favorite.
I thought a Rose.
Rose is right there close to it, but there's an episode where Sophia makes fat jokes to Blanche's daughter.
Yeah,
And
she's
that,
very
like,
fat
just-
shamey. Yes.
They
I
are
remember.
the rudest, most unnecessary
Yeah.
one-liners, and I was turned off to Sophia from that
Oh,
point
that's
on.
horrible.
That
horrible.
episode is so bizarre because she's making the fat jokes and getting a laugh, but so the Blanche's daughter's fiance or whatever
Yes.
is also doing the same thing, but we're supposed to hate him. It makes no sense.
Well, by
I
the
can't
end,
wait for you two to review that. I can't.
well, by
wait.
the end, Sophia's like, "How could he say that?" It's like, you just
Yeah,
said that
right.
10 minutes ago, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
I love when black women
Rest in
go.
peace.
No, bitch.
Yes, not against Estelle Getty. She was great,
No.
especially in "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot."
Is that in
Oh, I love
season
that.
1?
That's in season 3.
Yes.
Oh shit! I just want you to jump right to that episode.
The whole Sophia storyline, and we'll move on, but the whole Sophia
Yeah.
storyline started very dark in the pilot. She had a stroke and all of her memories were wiped out, and she
Yeah.
couldn't control her what was coming out of her mouth. She had no filter. So it
Yeah.
started out dark, then it quickly went the comedy route. I wish they would have kind of, and I know it wouldn't have worked, but they should have maybe stuck with the dark route.
Don't you love people who are they brag about? I just say whatever's on my mind. I have no filter. I just speak my mind. But they can't take it back. You know, they can dish
Howard.
it out, but those people can. Howard's a perfect example of that. But he I don't even think he's really speaking his mind anymore either, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
But isn't it almost like across the board? They never can take it when someone's the person who goes, I say whatever I feel. I say whatever on my mind. I'm unfiltered. But they can never take it when it's directed back at them. It's always that.
Can I?
Yeah,
Since
I
we
mean-
just mentioned how. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I have seen like even Kathy Griffin is kind of in
Perfect
things like
example.
that.
Ugh.
She's,
Perfect.
Like someone gave her pushback in an interview once, and she
Freaks
got,
out.
she freaks out. Right?
Freaks out,
Yeah.
Yes. does not know how to. I mean, even the slightest pushback, the slightest
Right.
disagree or lampooning, she freaks the fuck out. That's a perfect example.
Yeah. I mean, I know you discussed her a couple episodes ago with Amber. She sided with Amber. Am I correct?
Yeah,
About
she's
that?
trying to
Yes.
take the feminist side. She doesn't really know how to gauge pop culture in terms of I don't think she realized the extent of his fan base, how massive it is. And she's like, okay, well, I'll grab onto this and the feminist side. And
Yeah.
I don't think I think she's going to, I think she's already regretted it mightily.
And I don't think it has anything to do. I mean, I could be wrong about this. Her being hated by people lately, you know, I don't think she's as talented as a Don Rickles, for example, to be able to be snarky and kind of, pseudo insulting and still be beloved,
No, she doesn't.
Um,
That's quite a skill, right? To still be beloved after you do all that shit.
right.
That's very difficult to pull off. You're right.
Well, she blames, now there's a new article, she blames PTSD for her personality issues.
Really?
I'm not sure what the PTSD is from. She didn't really explain.
As
And
far
I
as
don't
know,
care.
her parents were lovely to her, so as
Of
far as I
course.
know. So I
Yeah,
don't know
her
where
mom. Her mom wrote a book, like with her help. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, there are definitely people who cannot take it, but they can dish it out.
I'm not using a CPAP machine yet, T-Busy, but thank you for your concern. I don't know, I saw myself, like I said, it's like I had Casey Armstrong in the referee position in the Western Kentucky in the early '90s. I saw myself in the wrestling headgear Sarah got me, the Greco-Roman, and I got kind of depressed. I was just like,
Oh
I
my
kind of bummed
God.
out. I was like, is this what I'm reduced to? You never see a picture of yourself like in some kind of, or you see someone you love in a situation, in a hospital bed or something.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't love anyone more than the person in that mirror. And when I saw that, I'm just kidding.
I wish that was true.
I
But
know. And it was just kind of depressing. You know what I mean? Like you just see
you know
yourself.
what? If it
I'm
makes
like,
you
is
feel
this what I'm
better,
gonna do for the rest of my life?
and if
wearing
it
this?
makes you feel better, who cares?
Yeah.
It's true. If it makes you happy, right, Cheryl Crow? Nepo would, right?
It can
David
always
too.
be worse. You could be missing a leg. You could have to attach your fake leg every morning when you roll out of bed. It can always be worse.
Sue B. Sue
It's very
73.
specific.
Yes.
I know.
The third level.
Okay, that is because I just watched the Boston bomber documentary
Oh God,
on
yeah, that's
Netflix.
right.
And at the very end, after the trial's over, the woman goes, "This never ends. I have to watch my two sons put their legs on every morning." It's like, oh,
Oh, yeah. That's
Same
very
thing.
true.
I'm sure Marky Mark's portrayal will make you feel better about it, honey.
yeah.
Right? I think Marky
That
Mark's
fixed all of it.
I think Marky Mark's racist crimes in late '80s Boston are as bad or worse than the thing he's trying to portray. I was reading about that 2 days ago. It is worse than I thought. They stalked a black family in their neighborhood and were like throwing rocks at them at the beach. They were trailing them to school.
Scumbag.
It was the worst of the worst of the worst thing I've ever heard. And he's presenting awards, and Will Smith's he should be banned, and Will Smith's banned from the Oscars. It's so bad that it's like they would clean up it is, if anybody gets a chance, is a full-blown Marky Mark guy was obsessed with outing him on all this. It is crazy. He should have got, I think it was, again, this is the Jump Street episode we just did. I was going to tell Kathy Scott with A. Smith, how did those kids not get hate crime sentences for years and years and years? They stalked black kids coming out of school with over and over again. All the white kids. They just said, "Go home, everyone. We're Hanson and Hoffs walked by the thing, and we're okay now. Nicki Messiah's having a kid. We're okay." Wouldn't they have gotten like years and years in jail for racial hate crimes? I mean, even back then. Oh, that pissed me off.
I wonder how much of Josh Brolin with the Diane Lane thing, or the Marky Mark thing, or any of that. I wonder how much of their income goes to like their PR people just like trying to keep it as much out of the internet, just any kind of research you could do on these people for the rest of their lives. It's
He was
like,
trying to seek a pardon, David, so he could shoot that Boston bombing film.
oh,
He
interesting.
went to
Okay.
Massachusetts and he wanted to be exonerated from the history of this, where it was wiped off his record. And they're like, "Fuck you! I'm not doing
Yeah,
that."
right.
And the writer's like, "Yeah, you did it because you're famous. What if does anybody so if you're not a famous A-list actor, you don't could anybody just exonerate their record because they want to shoot a film?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
right.
Like he gets to do that, but no one else does." Because you're famous, because if it wasn't for you wouldn't even give a shit that it was on your record, because it's about maintaining that A-list status and not having. And he's trying to act all sanctimonious and shit, and he found Jesus, and he's doing. You got to read this rap sheet, and I knew about
Yeah.
this, but it's not as nearly as bad as it really is. You got to. There's so many. This one guy. Go ahead, David.
Oh, no. Finish your thought. Go ahead.
No, I was done. I was just.
Well, I was thinking of. Do you remember I forget, there were two guys involved in that bombing, right? The
Yes.
Boston
Yeah.
Marathon
Two
bombing.
brothers, yeah.
Two brothers. And I remember like this bizarre, like almost like Twilight women found them attractive.
Oh yeah.
And they put them on the cover of Rolling Stone, if I recall, like as if they were celebrities. I mean, it was sick.
Yeah, it's
I remember
disgusting.
being really disturbed at that time.
I enjoyed looking at the autopsy photos of the oldest brother. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I found pleasure.
Vindicating.
I was full of glee looking
Yeah.
at his side split open from his brother running him over. Didn't bother
Right.
me at all. And then the
Yeah.
little shit at the end, during the trial, they played videotapes of his cell footage. He's flipping the camera off. Come on.
Yeah.
How about
That's the one
old man?
time I will say, fuck the trial, throw him out into the streets of Boston. Let them handle it.
I usually hate men, but you broads will be groupies for any level of infamy or
It's
fame.
true. It's sickening.
Crazy.
Yeah.
If you're famous, there's no crime.
Well, let's flip that though. You got teachers that are quote unquote hot molesting children. Men are like, "Hey, lucky kid." No, that's still a pedophile.
Yes,
Yeah,
that reverse thing all the time. Look, right. If you reversed it, you're a
Mhm.
sick monster. But if it's the 32-year-old teacher with the 50-year-old boy, oh my God, I wish I had a teacher like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember on the Howard had the woman who was in the Hot for Teacher music video on the E Show,
Yes.
like in the 90s sometime? And I think you were talking about this on Gunk, how there's so many of these dinosaur rockers that
Yes,
wrote
that we
like,
did.
statutory rape songs.
Yeah, and we're celebrating it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has. The Beatles have a 17 song,
Yeah.
and it's just every dinosaur rocker has some kind of,
Yep.
statutory rape song.
Mothers were taking their daughters to concerts, hoping to get their daughters, in with the band. So.
I'm with the band, says Pamela Debar.
A lot of bands.
Subi Sue 73. I hope you are feeling better, you and your son. Thank you so
Yes,
much
absolutely.
once again.
Hope you're feeling better.
It's a rough one. Whatever this new version of whatever cold is going around. Ugh.
I don't even know. Like mine's different than yours though, because I got it from sleep apnea. Just having that stupid.
I think you got a cold. It sounds like you have a cold. I think it's more than just you have a dry mouth.
Brendan says, ironically, wearing a mask is actually less effective than wearing an FBI windbreaker. Sarah, if you pull that off, I was thinking about this. Somebody like literally attacked you, and you went, how great a court case would that be? You're just like, I knew that my attacker would be warded off if I threw this windbreaker on, and I'm impersonating law enforcement. Are you really gonna?
I would be the one
no
charged.
way you'd lose that case.
I would be the one charged.
Ah, man.
And for overkill, for turning him into a pile of red mashed potatoes on the sidewalk.
Okay, how about it?
Yeah, there you go.
If you don't want to commit to that, how about one of those tactical vests with no weapons on it?
I'm not wearing your idea of security. I'm not doing that. It's stupid.
Like you'll have like grappling hooks and stuff on it, and like just like little compartments, but you're not actually carrying any weapons. Like one of these like black tactical suit vests. Just have like all this stuff, everything but weapons. And people just like, what is she doing? No one will come near you. I guarantee it.
I'm going to, and I'll put this on Patreon. Okay, my ride home tomorrow night, I will take photos of this shithole my neighborhood has turned to, and you let me know. I'm not going to show you where I live, of course. I'll be like a few streets over, but I will tell you, and I will show you why your idea of wear a tactical vest will stop these people from doing what they want to do.
I think you're overrating the Walking Dead community you have and the power of the FBI windbreaker.
I am waiting. Let's say this. I am waiting for Rick Grimes to walk up it through my neighborhood and tell me I have to evacuate my home. It is that bad.
Have you ever seen the FBI raid like an inner city community with gang problems? How everyone scatters? You don't think that would work
Do you
equally
really
in
think
your
people scatter now? They know they're not going to jail.
with an FBI windbreaker? They don't.
Okay, you
That's
have
a
such a fantasy
whole.
about this windbreaker. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's so stupid.
Have it a tracksuit. And you know what
Mhm.
you can do? I
I'm
got
not
an idea.
borrowing your tracksuit. I'm sorry.
I got an idea. So have the joke shirt where it says full body inspector, but
Mhm.
cover it up. So if you get called on it, oh, you're impersonating a cop, blah blah blah. Pull up the thing, and it reveals that it says, no, this is a shirt, federal body inspector. So you're covered even that way. If you
we need
don't
to
do it, I will. If you don't do it, I will.
Okay, you do it then. Go ahead.
Okay.
we need to sell a Federal Bureau of Depp windbreaker on the store.
I mean, Joe Pistone himself is an FBI. I mean, you're right. Is there any better character witness than the real Joe Pistone, Sarah, testifying for you that you
Yeah.
can do that?
Well, had I wanted, I'm going to give you an example. Had I wanted to walk home tonight, I would have walked to an intersection where two men were smoking crack on the corner. As I'm stopped at the stoplight, I glance over. They're just sitting there smoking crack from a pipe, sharing it.
I hate men.
Like, oh, what
How
happened
do
to my neighborhood?
How
Used
do
to
you
be
know what a
nice.
crack pipe is?
Yeah, honey,
Like,
come
you don't
on.
even drink. Like, how do you know what a crack pipe is?
I watched a movie with Wesley Snipes. Oh my God, what was it called?
New Jack City.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
I watched New Jack City. I know how drugs work.
You know who the director of that was?
Yeah, Mario Van Peebles.
Yes. 21 Jump Street, director, season 3.
Star.
Right? How do you think that movie came to be? I mean, he'd already tackled that landscape, and it basically took. This is what Jump Street would be if they evolved into adult undercover cops.
mhm.
That's what really. I mean, the New Jack City could be a Jump Street plot just with a bigger budget.
Yeah.
He was actually in 2 episodes. One of the ones David's going to be in, High with the Fame episode.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the film. The I'm sorry. The drama teacher, one of the drama. No, he's actually a film editing teacher. So he has Aoki shoot. Aoki's one of his students, and he runs around with a camera, shooting the entire for evidence as during this episode. And then he comes back again in season 4, and he plays a kind of a male gigolo dancer in the episode where Hanson reunites with his girlfriend, where he's undercover in that club Michael Day Barr owns.
That's a versatile career right there.
And he's doing this like twirling. He's doing this like twirling Mario Van Peebles, Adrian Zemed extensive choreography in the middle of the dance floor. And you talk about eye rolls. It is the best eye roll I've ever seen in the history of TV or movies or otherwise. When Hanson sees him dancing in the middle of that dance floor, the music's blasting and you just hear Hanson just go, and the Depp's eyes just shoot up to fucking Manitoba. And he pulls his ex-girlfriend off the dance floor, and Mario Van Peebles goes, "Hey, what's up with you, man? What's up with you?" And that's it. No more resistance.
So basically, we know what Depp's cum face is now because of that.
I do, because I had a dream about him the other night.
Welcome, Sue Monster. I'm here with you all. Got my pooch. Is that what you call it? On a later walk? Welcome, Sue Monster. And there's Johnny Meyer. Thank you, Johnny Meyer.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone loves himself, who chimes in there? It's Johnny. Getting back to Johnny Meyer. Thank you for a riveting. And I don't even think we've scratched the surface if you ever want to talk about yourself again for 4.5 hours, you know, I'd like to have him sit in, because I don't even think we've mined nearly enough of the stories. Like, he's got a lot more to tell, and he's been kicked out of the Screen Actors Guild since.
Yeah.
Sarah, tell everyone your Johnny Depp dream, which I got texted about, which is hilarious.
As soon as I woke up. All right, you ready? It's just so nothing, but you know, dreams are just so stupid. Okay, so I'm dating him, right? And he frequently does like stop-ins on our podcast.
Oh my
So
God.
because he's my boyfriend,
Right.
and we go to a record store, and he's
Which he does. He
yes,
does do
he
that.
does. He's much older than me, of course, so I had to grab a cane and help him out of the back of the car. I think it was an SUV. My mother was there somehow hovering. She goes, I just wish he was younger. But anyway, we go into the record store and we're sitting on a very massive couch.
Yeah, so you know, funny. Your
Okay, it
mom's
was your
closer-
dream. Go ahead.
Your mom is closer to Depp in age than you are to Depp in age, which is kind of funny. Much
Yes.
closer. Go ahead.
Well, no, I don't know about that. But so I whisper. We're sitting on this massive couch listening to records. I don't know why, but I whisper in his ear because I have a podcast. I go, you know, when I date, I go straight to the top. I don't even know what the fuck that meant.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know. But
How do you
would-
interpret that line?
I have no idea. But he was dressed. He wasn't dressed like Depp on the street. He was trial Depp. He even had his hair back. He was in one like a navy suit. And we're going through the record store just looking. And I'm just whispering in his ear. We're flirty. You know, it was very comforting. And I woke up and I texted you.
How was the
You
hair?
mocked me.
How was the hair? Yeah, because I mean, how many times did I come up?
You didn't come up at all. But but you know what? Your first question to me, it's a dream. I don't have all the details. But as he usually questions me about everything, he goes, what did he say about me? Where were you? What time of the day was it?
Yeah,
What
these are
the hell are you
legitimate
talking
questions.
about?
These are legitimate questions. The hair, was the hair the trial hair, or was it?
It was a trial in a ponytail hair.
The sunglasses were on inside.
No. He looked me right in the eye.
What music were you looking at? Pieces of
I have
vinyl?
no idea. I don't know his music. I was just there to like apparently smell his brown cigarettes all over his body.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What kind of
And put
smells?
him at the top.
Yeah.
Any kind of smells?
I think what I was referring to in that comment was because I do a podcast about him. I go right to the top when I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, that's the
But
best
we
part
were
of
in
it.
love, and that's all I
Yeah.
care about.
Right.
That's the best part of a dream, is that it doesn't make sense. Even the dialogue rarely
Right.
makes sense.
It reminds me of the Seinfeld, you mean the panties your mother laid out for you comment. Like, what does
Yeah.
that mean?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Sarah, what state was this in?
Jesus Christ, shut up. Just it's
No,
a dream. I have no idea where
You don't
we
have
were.
a set. I mean, at least was it Oregon, or was it Virginia? Was it
know.
California?
I doubt it was Oregon. Why would he be here?
How did he get to the record store?
Jesus Christ, it was a black SUV. That's all I can tell you.
But you do remember, was Sean Bett there?
No, it was him and I. We were just ready to make love on the sofa.
How
in the
long
record
were you in the
store.
record store for? How long were you in the record store?
This is normal. He's not even exaggerating. This is how he questions me after everything.
Was Gary Delabate working the
I swear to
counter
God,
with
you
a
would ask
CV button?
that.
Who was Secretary of State?
Yes. Did he talk about me? Shut up.
King Cap says, I hate seeing old pictures of myself when I was in my prime. I was like a young, Craig Elo. King Cap is fucking Johnny, what's his name from Zab from the Karate Kid?
Ralph Macchio?
Yeah, it's Johnny, Billy Zabka.
Yes, Billy Zabka. How dare you not know that name?
Billy Zabka. He looks like Craig Elo.
Get a cough drop.
Craig Elo is every 80s like surfer boy, California teen idol,
Oh, totally.
shitty, teen movie that came out. He's everyone.
Mullet.
Craig Elo was a Cavalier, David. Did you know that? He was on your Cavaliers at a certain point.
I did, yeah. I'm sure I've had uncles talk about him at some point in my childhood, and I
love
barely
that.
remember it.
I love it. David, can I tell you a little story about a man named John Hot Rod Williams?
He looks
I
like
couldn't
John
tell.
Tesh a little bit.
No, he doesn't. He's like, he was involved in the Tulane point shaving. I couldn't tell if he was a center or a forward, but damn, we loved having him as a sixth man.
If anybody wants to learn a bit behind the scenes here about Arm, Billy Zabka, older Billy Zabka in the Karate Kid series on Netflix is sexy. He's much sexier than he was back in the day. Billy Zabka today looks like Arm. Just letting everybody know.
Interesting. Okay.
So did you cut out, or did I cut out?
No, I have no idea.
You cut out
Sarah
on me. I
was the-
couldn't hear the. I couldn't hear the payoff.
I don't know who heard me and who didn't.
I heard you.
Okay, so it's Arm.
So it was on. Yeah.
I got a Cobra Kai between my motherfucking legs. Sue Monster, thank you. The Andy Dick roast was crazy and all freaking long. Thank you, Sue Monster. Thank you for all your kind Menchie support. Well, the wig was polished and intelligent. Marky Mark was always half a yes, Pellel. He is, and his films, and he's a horrible actor. And how that worked. You talk about a deal with the devil. That guy, God, he's so shitty in everything he's in. I was watching a movie once with my cousin in the theater. I can't remember what it was. Some piece of shit he was in.
They're all the same with him.
And my cousin looked at me like he delivered this monologue, and you hear the little wigger lilt in his voice. And my cousin looked at me, and you don't want to talk during the movie. This is in a theater, and he was just like, he gave me that huffing eye roll, like Depp's with Mario Van Peebles on that level. Like, this is the shittiest actor I've ever seen in my life. It wasn't this. It wasn't kind of like hater gel. It was, he genuinely hated his acting so much he couldn't stop an audible gasp in the middle of the theater.
It's the same. It's that nostril flare. It's
Yep.
the wide eye. And he's like, and the nostrils are the size of 2 quarters, and it's the same expression. He's shit. He's the worst actor I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
And your YouTube suggestion videos that come up.
Yeah.
I saw one. I almost threw up. It was like, go inside Marky Mark's mansion. $35 million mansion for what? He is garbage. A human garbage and a shitty actor.
The worst. We got it. You're in shape. We got it. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do push-ups. We got it. You're in shape. We got it. You have 18 hours to work out all day.
Yeah.
We got it. You're in shape. Put your shirt back on. We got it,
Yeah.
Marky. You insecure little fucking wigger runt.
Doesn't he have a third nipple?
Yes, he
remembering
does.
that right? Okay.
And I read an interview back. I've said this before on this show. He has a third nipple. It's disgusting. I mean, sorry if those who have a third nipple, but his quote back in the day when his brother's band, New Kids on the Block, were big, and he was Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, he was trying with that shit. His quote was, "Yeah, I have a third nipple, and the bitches like to suck it." It's like, oh God.
Remember him with
Christ.
Kate Moss in that
Yes.
originally in I think it was before was it after with the shitty rapping? Was it the funky? Was it after the Funky Bunch?
Yeah, it was around that time.
During it. Sorry about that.
You want a cough drop? You
And
need a
Marky
moment to
Mark's
get a cough
defense,
drop?
David Seagal's in Marky Mark's defense, he is from Boston. it's just
Well,
my favorite quote, speaking of quotes, is D.L. Hughley said about people like him and Justin Timberlake. Everybody wants to be black until the police show up. And he was in that movie, was it Five Brothers or something? It's him and 4 black guys. How dare you? That's him trying too hard to like step away from, all the his history in Southie.
Yeah.
I think it was called Four Brothers or something. And I'm going, the audacity of getting cast in that movie.
That's pretty ballsy of him to want to get his record cleared so he can play a criminal who affected the city of Boston. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Johnny Meyer, you must be you must hate him more than anything. You're like a legitimate guy who moved out with acting aspirations. You have to see this motherfucker getting all these roles. And you should be bitter. That must piss you off, like his ilk before anybody. That must piss you off. Right? There's certain guys you're like, yeah, he deserves it. I can deal with that. But watching Marky Mark just get one huge motion picture franchise after the next, that would make that I'd put a 22 in my mouth if I saw that over and over again. And I'm not saying Johnny Myers loves himself way too much to even think about that, but you know what I mean? The aspiring thespian who puts the reps in and sees that shit.
Mm-hmm.
where in LA is Johnny Meyer? Did he mention on the podcast?
Johnny, where are you again? God, he said it to me and I forgot that it's
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
he said it's
I don't
20
need the
minutes.
street address. I just what section of LA.
That's right, David. See, man up and accept your past. Yeah, David. Tiffany Amber Thiessen was allowed to date a 19-year-old when she was 14. That's in that Howard interview I posted.
She has the best boob job in Hollywood. She
So Alyssa
does.
Milano did.
No, I would say Thiessen.
It's so ubiquitous, the the breast surgery, that you are shocked when you see natural breasts on any level.
Yeah.
hmm
You're shocked. It's crazy. Like those housewives shows, Sarah. I mean,
Oh God.
I
Oh, they're
could
the worst.
store my contact lenses for 6,000 years off the saline on that show.
You can see the serial numbers through the flesh. It's disgusting.
The Boston
Ugh.
Bombers, Sarah Sue Monster wants a deep dive on that. Would you do
I'll
it
go
for her?
if you can get me the Netflix documentary. I
I
gotta
could
warn
get
you
it
though,
for
I
you.
cry at that stuff. I am overly patriotic, and by the end, when the music swells and all that, I'm like, kill them all.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I will probably cry if we watch it.
You are a horseman. You don't play. You do not play. You are Liz Cheney. I would love to have you on. You think the death penalty should be in every state, every town, every
Yes,
crime. Turning right
not
on
every
red, you want the
crime.
death penalty.
No, but I think it should be an option in every state. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, Kathy Scott. When Ronnie Seabach was on death row, that is in season 4, and that's another good. I was gonna ask you a bunch of death row questions too. The return of Ronnie Seabach, rather than. I'm sorry. Boy, I tell you that the mute button, Sarah, is a total pain in the
Oh,
ass to constantly go to it. And
I
I know
know.
I'm
Tell
being rude
me.
because you just can't. It's actually hard. You're multitasking as it is, and to multitask
hmm
the mute button is even something else. I don't want. Go
4 months.
yeah,
Yes, I
Pellel's
know.
right. Just wear a holster, Sarah, without the gun. That's a great idea. Even
No.
over the shoulder is even better. The over the shoulder boulder holster over the or a ninja suit. A ninja suit.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Another
you're
great
right.
idea. Sarah's about to put her Scared Straight TV special on Patreon wearing a nothing FBI sexy costume, says Johnny.
It's frightening. Used to be a beautiful city, and just, ugh.
My first thing I want to do before we get to am I forgetting something?
Probably.
No, we're gonna do. I just want to show Maiween, this Jeanne du Barry tedium. I want to go to something. So Depp is By the way, it's been a year since Fairfax started. It's been about a year. So April of 2022. Does it seem like a year? I think that guy, your boyfriend, Rakeda, had a great line. He said that the
Yes.
actual trial felt like a year, and it feels like 2 weeks since the trial ended to now. Like the
Yeah.
trial feels longer than the actual last year that went by. I agree
I've been like
100%.
in the meantime. I mean, it doesn't feel like 2 weeks to me. I've been like obsessed with multiple trials since then. But like right now, Lori Vallow. Oh my God, I'm dying every day listening to that. But
You're like a trial
yeah.
groupie. You
Well,
like
I had Murdaugh. I have Lori Vallow now.
paw,
It's
paw,
been great.
paw, paw,
Sorry
paw,
to the
paw, paw.
victims, but it's been great.
You love the victims. You want everyone dead
I
except
do.
you.
I love the
You
victims, and I
love
want
the
them to get
victims.
justice. But the Lori Vallow, it's one of those kind of Northwest crimes, so it really piques my interest.
Do you see this on your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Con director Maiween, Johnny Depp's Jeanne du Barry is not a controversial choice. Him meaning Depp as a choice. Opening acclaimed festival, the film featuring problematic lead star and a director accused of assault. Is it controversial at all? Con festival director Thierry Fremont, I hate these names, addressed the potential backlash to the Jeanne du Barry being announced in 2023. The period piece stars Johnny Depp and Maiween. She goes by the first. She's a French actress, so she's done like 3 things in her life. French King Louis the 15th, right, Sarah? And his lover Jeanne du Barry. Maiween was recently. By the way, can we get rid of Roman numerals? now for good?
No,
Super
just because you
Bowl and
can't read them.
France.
No.
No, let's just drop the Roman numerals for good.
Well,
No
you need
Super Bowl
to
numbers. No fucking French. Drop the Roman numerals. You're not.
work
By the
your
way,
Rocky
brain.
they're
Five.
Roman numerals, not French numerals. Drop
Work
them.
your brain. They're the easiest thing in the world to read. Learn what an X is and a V, and you'll be fine. You'll make it.
You're like a sitcom wise ass. Now I know why you love B. Arthur so much. You really are a little bastard stepchild.
She is
You
my
really,
hero. Absolutely.
It shows. It really shows. Ma Wen, who was recently sued for assault. Yeah, let's go to that story right now. Tell me if this comes up. So the director got sued for assault. Every film that, like, we talked to Johnny Meyer about the City of Lies and all the crazy shit that emanates from that film, from the Rocky Brooks thing to the weird a guy died in a drunk driving accident on the way back from the set. It's endless. This thing, Ma Wen director sued for assaulting a journalist. Ma Wen, the French actress and director who won the Cannes Jury Prize for her before rehabbing Johnny Depp's career. No, she didn't. Stop. Oh my God! You talk about patting yourself on the back. You talk about counting the W before rehabbing Johnny Depp. If anything, you bastardized it. You made it worse with this fucking period piece tedium career by casting him in JEANNE du BARRY as being sued for assault in France. The filmmaker, whose legal name is Maiween Ladani Brasco, isn't that crazy how everything ties together? But who works under the abbreviated name Maiween? Oh God, so pretentious is that? Subject of a new lawsuit filed by Edwy Plenel. Because does anybody have a name with a normal American name? Do I have to, in this state that I'm in with the throat, I gotta hit every fucking syllable? And what Belzer used to say about the editor-in-chief at Matty Part magazine, Plenel filed the police report in March 7th claiming that Ma Wen assaulted him in late February while dined at a Paris restaurant. The journalist alleges that Ma Wen approached his table without prompting, then pulled his hair and spat in his face before storming off. The report claims that's a lot to make up if that didn't happen.
Saying hello.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I do it at work.
Yeah. Cut off their head, say hello.
A guillotine.
Yeah.
The report claims that Plenel is still traumatized by the incident. News of the police complaint was first reported by the French news outlet AFP. The news comes as Ma Wen prepares to return to the Croisette next month with JEANNE du BARRY, her new period piece, which stars Depp as French King Louis XV, set to open 2023 Cannes Film Festival. In addition to directing the film, Ma Wen also stars in the King's eponymous lover, JEANNE du BARRY. The project was one of the first major acting opportunities that Depp received following the fallout from the acrimonious defamation trial against Amber Heard. But the shoot was apparently a difficult experience for everyone involved. As noted by the Daily Beast last year, Depp's co-star Bernard Montiel said the French talk show "Don't Touch My TV Set." The actor frequently clashed with Ma Wen on set, being Depp. I've heard some noise from that shoot, very serious stuff. Depp is an excellent actor when he comes on set, except sometimes at 6 a.m, the crew is ready to go, and he doesn't turn up. So of course Ma Wen, who's the director, gets angry, and the next day she's with the one who she's the one who doesn't turn up. And then you've got Johnny Depp. And then she's not there, and it's a big mess. And it's finished, and it's over this week. It's going very, very badly. They don't get on at all. They're screaming at each other the whole time. I tend to believe that.
Yeah.
How about you guys? David, I know you're very you're very much a sophisticate. You are an intellectual. You are an academic. You are an avant-garde, old soul. But do period pieces irritate you like they do me?
Oh yeah, no, I hate them. I mean, I anything I could watch as like a History Channel thing where they do cutaways of dramatizations, I might as well just watch that because it's going to be more accurate. And this movie reminds me of Hilary Swank did this awful period piece in the early 2000s called The Affair of the Necklace. Where she played it's like same time period. I think her character was named Jean do something,
Oh wow.
And
okay, maybe that's the same thing.
It might be, but I think it's because I remember I looked it up and it is a different historical figure. But but no, they're all super boring. I mean, it just doesn't translate to film well.
No, you could say simply that they're super boring. Exactly. This has subtitles, so you have to. Here's the funny thing. I said this. I had this thing. It's every idea I ever come up with is in the shower because I take 6 a day. This is a movie. Sarah, I want to do an episode, and you're certainly welcome to sit in, Dara. Anthony.
Oh God, he's delusional.
Go through Depp's entire filmography, virtually all of it, and would you have seen this movie if he wasn't in it?
No.
And so I'm going to go through like a lot of the movies, and do you think I would ever see Finding Neverland if he wasn't in that? Do you think I would see a movie just like this, David? I brought it up last time. And they keep the Harvey Weinstein production. I'm sorry. sorry.
You're good.
And anytime he does a period piece, it all smacks the same. So invariably boring, for lack of a better word, in my case, is going to come up. It's just inevitable. How are you going to keep an audience's attention all that time? There are a gaggle of movies, like something like Murder on the Orient Express. I saw it in the theater 3 times. I never would see it. He's in the movie for 15 minutes. I'd never see that if he wasn't in it.
I think he's in this one for 15 minutes, apparently.
That's the other thing. So those who have seen it claims and the movie I was talking about, the other period piece, which is just like this, is called The Libertine. Yeah. Same garb, same costume. If you switch the dialogue, I don't think I would know the difference.
Right. Are you telling me you wouldn't have seen Romeo and Juliet if Depp hadn't been a voice in it?
Are you talking about the animation?
Or what is it?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Sherlock Gnomes.
Sherlock Gnome. That's what it is.
And Rango or whatever.
Rango. Yeah. That. I mean, honestly, when you go through it, I bet you I'll come up with about 90% of his movies. And this is the power of his charisma, that he could get someone like me who would have no interest in some of these genres to go to the theater to see it. And in a way,
9 times.
Educated me to some. And look, some of these movies ended up being brilliant, and I'm glad I saw it. I wouldn't see Benny and June if he wasn't in that.
Right.
Never. Would I have seen
what else?
If he was in it?
What else you should do is go through his IMDb and like create a column, like movies where he's in the movie like the whole time versus movies where he just makes a cameo appearance. Because I feel like a lot of the movies that I feel like more often than not, we talk about all these titles where he's in the movie for 15 minutes, whether it's Into the Woods or Chocolat or this new movie that's coming out. He seems to be the king of cameos too.
Part of that, I mean, there's a couple ways I hate Mauve too, Sue Monster and Men. Part of the thing, and I was saying this on Gunk last week about Christopher Walken, there's times where he doesn't want to be on a set too long. And if he's going to get his price, say something like Into the Woods, right? You saw that. You people love those movies.
Yes,
and
exactly.
He's in it for 15 minutes.
And he's sexy as a wolf, and I feel bad. I feel icky saying that.
Wait, you saw Into the Woods and you didn't see Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Correct. No, I haven't seen the entire movie, but again, it's the whole thing. Johnny Depp scenes, on YouTube. It's just Johnny Depp scenes from Into the Woods, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I told you about the term Depp charge, right? So it was a coin in the film industry where they would airdrop him into movies, something like Chocolat or Into the Woods or Murder on the Orient Express, and he'd be in it in glorified cameo form, and it would kind of save the movie in a way, or you were just so interested that you would stay to watch him in it. And there are a gaggle of movies. He's in something called Before Night Falls, which is a and again, you think I'm going near that thing in the West Village without being like towel snapped? I would never see Before Nightfall. So he has a dual role, one where he plays like this Hitler type who grabs his crotch the whole time and then plays a cross-dressing transgender in prison. In the same, they're not supposed to be the same person. You know what I mean? Like he's playing a dual cameo role.
Right. Wow, a dual cameo. That's got to be a first in film history.
And something like Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which I would not have seen if he wasn't in it.
That's how I watched that movie. His 15-minute clip on YouTube, just his scenes. I don't
I,
care about Antonio
I
Banderas.
don't know if it was David C. or Pellel or Josh Foster. If you're the one who said this, I think I've given this advice too. If you're going to watch Once Upon a Time in Mexico, just go to his scene. He's in the whole movie, so you won't miss any plot points. He
Yeah.
was only supposed to have a cameo, and it was so strong, and he was so like deft at filming his scenes that it didn't take any reshoots, that they were
Right.
able to churn this thing out in like 2 weeks or something. But he's basically steals that movie from Antonio Banderas,
Mhm.
like Winona Ryder at Barney's in 2001. And he was only supposed to be in it in cameo form. And I fully recommend what Sarah just said. Watch the whole movie and just you're not going to have to do much fast forward because he's in most of the movie. But and you could save yourself a good half hour. Antonio Banderas is just wallpaper. He's boring in comparison. You don't care about him. It's crazy that charisma
And he's
he
like,
has.
and he plays, that CIA or FBI agent, I forget, but he's like the dark agent where he's not really on the up and up, but he's just so sexy. Jesus. And he's dirty, and
Speaking of which, Johnny Bye the Depp contrarian goes, Arm is a cuck in this dream, right? So
yes,
I'm watching you two have sex often.
I'd
How
allow
funny
that.
would that be? How funny would that be?
John's like watching you guys have sex while he's asking, like, so did you appreciate when Artie did the Kentucky France accent on the Stern
Ugh.
interview?
With his ding-a-ling in his hand watching. I saw The Astronaut's Wife 9 times in the theater.
9 inches. I got a possessed crank. If I were watching you two, David, you kid, I would do exactly that.
I know you
If
would.
that's my only
Yes.
opportunity to get these questions off, I would do exactly that. I'm like, you'll have other opportunities.
I'd allow you to engage in what I
Call
would
Rochelle
then.
Hathaway, for Christ's sake. Have a threesome. Go ahead, Sarah. I'm sorry.
I would allow you, if you're in the room, I would just like, let's call this the Orient Express and hop on.
He's underrated in that movie too, by the way. He's playing like a Lucky Luciano old gangster. And he is really, really good in that, subtly sly, and he's the most about the story with him and Kenneth Branagh, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
didn't
he
like
was
each other.
late to the set.
Yes, he
Yeah.
was late to the set all the time. Branagh threatened him.
That look though, the Public Enemy / Orient Express. Oh God. I'll be back in a minute, guys. Bye.
I hope you're kidding, Sarah.
I only need a minute.
Babs the Rush asked, does Arm have dream about? I do have many dreams, but they're stupid. They're like
Like mine wasn't.
the last one I remember, and again, I'm gonna have to write these down, but the last one I vaguely remember is he was somehow a new trial started, and he's walking into the trial, and I stop him and I talk about the Miami Dolphins for a half hour straight with him. And Sean Bett's pulling him away as I'm talking about it. I'm dropping Tony Nathan references at him and David Woodley. And I'm like, you gotta come on, we can talk. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. Just wait, I'll be right back. Like genuinely, seriously was going to re-engage, and I just woke up. That's the last one I remember. But there's once a week, there's probably something. I swear to you.
Meanwhile, you're like, yeah, and he's meanwhile pressing the alert button on his bracelet, calling the troops.
Arm, I love how your imposter syndrome is so strong that he's even giving you the brush off in your dreams.
That really was. That's so funny. Yeah, I think the imposter syndrome is prevalent in every in every dream I think I have. I don't deserve to be here. It's like you're. Oh, by the way, I fell off the couch again in the middle of a dream. So you know about the story where I fell off the bed and hit my head on the night. This time I missed the the TV tray. So my head missed it. So I didn't. But I rolled off the couch after a nap, and a ninja, and this is the dream. Somehow, a ninja with one of those what do you say? Those sickle swords with the chains attached to it. He was swinging it at the ground, and I was jumping over this
Oh my god.
this sickle. So you know what I mean? These ninjas have all
Yeah.
these weapons, and it's like a
Right.
chain attached to a sickle, and he was
Right.
swinging it at me, and it was hitting the ground, and I was doing almost like double dutch over the sickle. And as it's about to hit my leg, I wake up because I rolled off the couch and then
When was
caught myself.
this?
This is a month ago.
Okay.
This is about a
I
full
didn't hear
month
this
ago.
one.
Yeah, it was just off the couch. It was like just like a 1.5 foot drop, and that's what the dream was in the midst
Right.
of it.
My dreams are just an endless loop of my wrongdoing. So no, I'm kidding.
I don't dream. I guess my soul is dead. I don't know.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the two of you are qualified.
Other than my Johnny dream, but I'll take it. But normal day, I don't have a dream.
Meanwhile, the
I don't
two
know.
of you are so pure as a driven snow. You're probably worthy of lifting Thor's hammer, and I'm not.
Oh
And
my
I'm not.
god.
That's not. Come on.
I think you are. I think you are. And what Mjolnir requires from the people who wield it, I think you both qualify. I really do.
Oh,
I think
thank
you'd
you.
work.
I will say I am going to write that sketch of you like being a cuck for Sarah and Johnny.
Okay.
And
Hey, speaking of sketches,
yeah.
and what a great segue. Thank you to our friend Boff, who gets us all this crazy shit.
Yes.
Boff heard me on Radio Gunk whining about not having. What did I do with it? Oh my god! Come on, hold on. Oh man, I had the thing up, okay, and I had it presented, and I said, "Oh no, I'm not going to need this. Let me take it down."
Okay. Just get it again, and we'll move forward.
I don't know how.
I wanted to tell Sarah. Yeah, I wanted to tell Sarah during the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. I was thinking, we needed to incorporate that clip of Kelly Benjamin saying, like, "You attacked my friend Gwyneth," like on Real Housewives of New York.
Did she
and
say
Bethany's
that?
reaction.
Yeah, who's Gwyneth Paltrow?
I know. She's such a loon.
Did she really say that?
Yeah, she did.
Yes.
Oh my
Kelly
god.
Ben-Simone is a friend of Beth Stern. That is all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. Yeah.
But there are so many ties to that Housewife show and the Stern show. It's ridiculous. How much dialogue
She's
do you
on the
think
show.
Beth? No,
She
but
signed a release because her face isn't blurred. She's sitting right there front row at a fashion show.
Oh, that's
Besides
right.
that cameo, how much time do you think Beth made trying to beg Howard to be on that show?
Oh God.
See,
and like you.
I think that Beth, like I agree. She has everything that all those other housewives have, except she is not confrontational. She would have to become like crazy confrontational.
You'd have to film in the house, and that's never going to be allowed.
So that's the big problem. Now, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. I know that's what I'm getting towards. Right. He's so doggedly inaccessible.
They're never going to let them into the mansion that Sex forgot. Yeah.
Tell me if you can see this.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you going to be able to read this?
I hope so.
Oh.
Thanks to
I can
David.
take over.
This is Mad Magazine, April 1989, the 21 Jump Street parody. And
So
back then,
great.
it was very, very. You were very honored to be roasted by Mad Magazine.
Yep.
Akin to Saturday Night Live doing a sketch on you. And Saturday Night Live never did a 21 Jump Street sketch. There's so many things you could do with that in terms of parody. So finally, by its third season, Mad Magazine comes out with a parody. I had the thing, and I vividly remember Mad Magazine was so big. It was in every newsstand. I don't think people realize like how. And I definitely bought it. Like when you would read, like you see how it says 30 something, the Beatles, Morton Downey Jr. If you liked something in that, you probably bought it. So
Right.
the thing you wanted to see parodied.
Yeah.
They cover a bunch of demographics with those four things alone. Like it's
I know.
like four different audiences right there.
You could
Does
never
this
tell
make
if
sense? When I was growing up, I always view this as, if this makes sense, mainstream underground. This magazine.
Yeah, that's well said. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
And it's look at the price, $1.50. God.
Oh my god.
That's a lot in '89.
No, I don't. No, that's actually pretty good. I think that's what I paid for my teeny bopper magazines.
What a hip job that would be to like. I think you'd be great at both of you would. My friend Brendan, I think who's
Mm.
listening too, we said that's his dream job would be to write dialogue for this.
Yeah.
Just it's such a cool gig, and unfortunately, that's been antiquated now. This thing was everywhere.
It's definitely one of those things I wish I was a little, in real life was a little bit older to have experienced the heyday of, because I see people interviewed about it, not Howard because he's an idiot, but people talk about how high quality the humor was in it, and I I wish I had sort of been alive for that time.
Yeah, very hip, insider kind of clever fucking parodies of, you could literally take, and that it became Mad TV became a show based on
Yeah.
this. You could literally take many of
The
these
shell of the magazine.
renderings
Yeah.
and turn it into a sketch. Like this Jump Street thing we're about to read, you could turn that into a sketch, maybe tweak it a little bit. You could see it. Dana Carvey, it would be perfect for that SNL cast that had Carvey, but like when the new guys came along, so Spade, Sandler, and Rob
Yeah.
Schneider, and those guys, when they combine those two, like 1991, 90,
Sure.
90, that's the perfect cast to send that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good balance of like the trained comedic actors and the stand-ups,
Yep.
like it's a good combination if you can get the levels right.
And like Sarah said, it's very hip to say that you were not embarrassed to be caught reading this, and
Yeah.
it was on every newsstand. I remember kind of as a teenager going into New York City, and they would get magazines like a month before we got it on Long
Yeah.
Island, and we're 40 I'm 45 miles east of the city, and yet
Yeah.
they would get magazines a month before we did. Like I had friends, fathers who worked in the city. They would come home with magazines a month before we got it on Long Island. I'd be so jealous. I'd be like, holy shit, what? Like basketball previews that wouldn't hit the stands. It was like, that was to me like the allure of New York. It was like this
Right.
media hub that just got everything first, like way before, and shit like this would come out. Like Mad Magazine was on every newsstand.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's a hard thing to do, to be a force in culture that parodies stuff where you're not parodying it in a way that's too benign and kiss-assy, but also not being too bitter. Like sometimes if Howard was involved at all in parodies on the Channel 9 show, they would come off as bitter. But if Jackie wrote them, they're perfect,
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, that's how you know. He's such a poser. Like I don't even think he read Mad Max. I think he was
No,
in
I
it and he
agree.
pretended to be a fan. Yeah, he's too
Well,
much of a lowbrow moron to appreciate most of it.
it's the same with the music taste. It's part of the Howard Stern character.
Yes.
That's a mandate from Don Buchwald or Mel Karmazin to look like he's this Gen Xer who grew up on the things that he knows his audience is
Well,
listening to.
that's why you put the 9 Inch Nail bumper sticker on the door of the small K-Rock studio. So that's
Right.
always in the shot, and
Yes.
you're reminded, oh God, this guy, he's really with it.
He
Yeah,
went as
Right.
far
okay.
in Private
Shorthand.
Parts. He's on the
Mhm.
couch when Allison announces her pregnancy and he's reading Mad Magazine. And
Yeah.
he makes a
Yeah.
joke how he's doing show prep. Like,
Mhm.
ha ha ha. I don't
Yeah,
do
right.
anything. I just show up.
Mhm.
Which I believe. There's 30, it's called, so they would do like little, let me see.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
cutting
so
off the,
funny, and the illustrations are genius.
yeah, I could
Yeah,
see, I
they
could
really
really
are.
see the two of you writing for this.
I'm
What?
gonna bow out.
What do you mean?
I couldn't do this.
Yes, you could.
No.
Yes, you could. I think you could. I think a lot of your filmmaking skills embody what the spirit of this magazine. It's just, if like you could do it for Golden Girls, right? I mean, if you knew the subject matter.
Maybe. Don't go to the next screen. I never watched 30 something, but the guy
did.
on the left, he looks like Rob Camilletti,
Ken
Cher's
Olin?
Bagel Boy boyfriend back in
Yeah,
the day.
Ken Olin. Timothy
It's
Busfield's in the middle.
yeah, I know that's
Oh,
Ken
yeah.
Olin, but he looks like Cher's boyfriend. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, my
Yeah.
Peter Horton over here. I feel like I'm inside out with C. Thomas Howell and Peter Horton, for Christ's sake. There he
I
is.
was
There's Peter
watching.
Horton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God, it's
I was
frightening.
watching Field of Dreams the other night, and Timothy Busfield plays Kevin Costner's brother-in-law in that
That's
movie.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Timothy Busfield has a pretty good career. Like he's got
Yeah.
a ton of look at Phil Collins, Elton John, and James Taylor.
Oh God, looking
God.
at that Mick Jagger, that reminds me what I was going to say earlier. I was listening to Who Are These Podcasts talk about Howard talking to oh Jesus, who's the guy that hosted America's Got Talent?
Oh, I
Married
know
to
who
Oh,
that.
Mariah.
Nick Cannon. Nick
Yeah,
Cannon.
Nick Cannon, just talking about penises and penis size and
Yeah.
all that.
Right.
Howard in that clip, in every clip where he does that,
Morton Downey.
he reminded me immediately of this is what Jimmy Savile would sound like if he were honest.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely true.
It's so creepy and it's so wrong, and he should be in prison. Thank you.
But because he's quote heterosexual, it's
Yeah,
see
well.
the decoder ring for Howard is when he thinks something is quote funny, he really means that it's hot. So
Mhm.
Richard Christie streaking through a party of all women in the early days of Sirius,
Cosmo,
he
Yeah, the
thinks
Cosmo
that's a really
party.
funny idea.
Yeah.
which would have you shut down and canceled in every other environment, proving my point that he is a partner and has no accountability.
Well, I gotta
Right.
say, I'm pretty tolerant of antics and hijinks.
Sure.
You want to streak. If I'm in college and I see a streaker, I laugh and point. But if I'm at like a Cosmo party for my job and
Yeah,
one
this
of
is
my
a professional
coworkers,
environment.
technically one of my coworkers runs in and grazes me with his little button penis, I'm filing charges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them should.
Agreed.
But I think that he was protected. I'm going to post that on our Patreon because I want people to see. He's terrified that something's going to happen. So there's all sorts of Tim Sabian comes in and he's all panicked. But Howard, you could tell, has no consequences during
Right.
this. And how does that happen? Right? He's worried about getting sued, but he won't. He probably has something in his contract where he can't be sued. You're suing Sirius, but you're not suing him.
The fact that Howard is more afraid of the mafia than he is of his own company is proof of that. Like
Yes.
I remember he interviewed who was the mafia wife who was getting her own reality show.
Freaking
Gotti, Victoria
Victoria
Gotti.
Gotti, right. And I've never heard Howard so tentative in an interview. Like he doesn't want to ask anything.
Did you hear that on my channel? Because I posted that once.
I'm sure
Victoria
I did.
Go-
Yeah.
Yeah, she lives next door to Allison. She lives on the same
Oh, interesting.
rarefied rich people in Old Westbury, and Victoria Gotti was like, "Yeah, Howard, I live by your ex-wife," and she's just kind of like fine with it. And he's like, "Hum, hum, 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 hum."
Hamana,
It wasn't about
yeah.
Allison. He was like afraid of the
It's all
mafia
about
during
Allison.
this. It's all about
Yeah.
You okay?
no
Oh,
REM.
John,
Spray your
I'm so
throat.
sorry.
Do you see? I felt pretty good before, and until I started talking, I'm like, I know, which is like one of the like, I really thank David for coming on because I get to
Yeah.
at least take a break.
Yeah,
Spray your
just
throat.
throw to me whenever you want. I've got a prepared essay on Judy Garland. I can read our chat. I'm sure they'd love it.
I would love it. Go ahead.
Sarah, did you wake up with two black eyes after the dream?
That's normal. That's my normal under eye darkness.
He's making a domestic abuse joke.
Yes, I know.
Johnny
Oh,
he's
lovely.
such a
Jesus.
delicious but again, for every time he does this, he gives us some delicious thing we can't find in a PDF file, whether it's
Right.
Tracy Lord's book. I don't care what he says. He's the best.
All the
my
gunk
favorite
episodes alone. Jesus.
I know. I keep telling Monique all the time, like, we owe him so much. I mean, the guy just deftly, like, you talk about we overuse the word hoarder. Hoarder is a good
Yeah.
thing because you get people, you need to save shit because we wouldn't have it. I mean, we overuse the word hoarder like ridiculous. It's such a
Yeah.
tired thing. Collecting or what do they call it? What's the
Archiving?
museum? Yeah, what's the museum term that's synonymous with? I am a music curator.
Curator.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Curator. And we owe him so much. He has given us. I mean, we literally have so many episodes just because he gave us these books that we can glean stuff from. Like I think the
Right.
Tracy Lords thing is a book is an episode in itself
Mhm.
Yeah.
for her time on the Crybaby set. I'm at 4:00 in the morning. I'm reading that thing, going, Jesus Christ, this is good. This is like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
That's why I love, like, I know that if it's 2:30 in the morning in Los Angeles, I can just text John, like, I hate Freddie Prinze Jr., and I know he'll respond.
Uh-huh.
My cousin told a story once how I was texting with him furiously about something really stupid, and his wife was in the background, and she's like, "Let me guess, that's your cousin you're texting with?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What's wrong with him now?" And my cousin turns to his wife. He goes, "Ralph Macchio." She goes, "Of course." I was ranting about how Ralph Macchio has no range. And he likes all the cliches sports teams from New York, and
The family's
he's like
trying to sleep. Wake
Just
the
like,
baby up.
so stupid. When he told me that story, I went back and read the text that I wrote, and I'm like, oh my god, because you know he's showing it to her, right? You know he's showing. There's no way he's not showing it to her.
I think what I'm gonna do is make a list of like arm questions that you would ask Johnny as he's having sex with Sarah. That's what I'm gonna do. Because we can read those.
Was Depp a Browns fan in your dream? Pell wants to know, Sarah.
Everyone is a Browns fan in my dream. But Depp wouldn't be able to hear John's questions because I would be screaming so loud.
Oh God.
When you
That's
finish,
probably
he's gonna go,
true.
"You made me sick of myself."
I'd be, oh, sorry. I tried.
Welcome, Ida Greenbacks. Welcome, Ida. I thank you so much for all your continuous support. Your mentioned all your knowledge of Chicago. I had a Chicago question I wanted to ask her. I forget what it is, but it will probably come to me after we just get off. And I should have asked that. Johnny Lawrence is my role model.
Good for you.
Don't
He's
you-
a great guy. You watch, go to YouTube and
Says
watch.
midlife crisis.
There's a video where they make Ralph Macchio the villain in that movie, and it's hilarious.
Oh, interesting.
I have not seen Cobra Kai, so give me just a quick rundown of what's going on with that thing.
I haven't seen like the last 3 seasons, but like the first 3 or 2 I watched. Basically, Johnny Lawrence is down on his luck. It's like 20, 30 years later,
Okay.
and he blah 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 opens up a dojo. Gets back. Oh, I'm missing so much. Gets back on
Are
his
they
feet.
making fun of themselves or no?
Kind of,
Is
but
it
Ralph Macchio
self-parody?
is. If you're gonna find a villain, it's kind of Ralph Macchio in this, and
Okay.
it's. Oh God, I'm not doing it justice, but I mean it's fine. But the problem that ruins it is too many teenagers in the show.
Yeah, that could do it. So they don't focus on Macho enough and Zabka.
In my opinion, no. And writers now they don't know how to write teenagers. They never have.
Yeah.
It's just painful.
I had brainwashed myself into thinking that Depp was offered the Karate Kid role at some point. So I had like I have no knowledge of this. It's never been substantiated, never written anywhere. I had somehow fooled myself into thinking that Depp had been offered the Karate Kid role. And I actually told Sarah he'd be a better Karate Kid than Macho would because he'd be believable in a fight. I don't believe Macho. His punches have no impact at all. He's 5'5", and he's just not gonna. But I do believe Depp when he's in Jump Street fight scenes or in Donnie Brasco. So I do believe Depp could morph into a karate master. I do, and that's just me. So as it turns out, he was never offered it. He just got to Hollywood. Like, why would they? I'm just thinking like somehow, but there's no. But if you had to cast someone else as Daniel LaRusso, wouldn't you think Depp would be a good choice?
Yeah, it'd be fine. Absolutely. He could pass as a LaRusso. He could pass as Italian.
How about
Easily.
him with the schmata on his head, that white headband? He's always wearing that
Yeah,
white
exactly.
rocker head. Isn't that exactly what he wore in the thing?
Yeah, with the Nightmare on Elm Street half shirt. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he wore that. Didn't Macho wear that in
Yeah.
Karate Kid at some point?
And the soccer scene, I think, outside the school.
Yes.
Get him a body bag.
Can you sing
that movie.
Can you sing Cruel Summer, Sarah?
Yes, I can, but I won't.
I would if my voice wasn't right.
I have the 45 if that helps, but I won't
And
sing.
my friends on the way and I'm on
No, please don't
my
wreck your
own.
voice.
I'll do
too
all your
hot to
singing for
hide.
you, Arm.
Johnny Bye Byes. This is great. So you're talking to your uncles about the Cavaliers, and he goes, you got to see Mark Price, and you go, oh, do you mean Skippy Handelman from Family Ties? Like, no. There's a point guard named Mark Price who played for the Cavaliers. He was great.
Right.
And at the same time, there was a Mark Price on Family Ties who played Skippy Handelman, who had a crush on Mallory.
Yep.
Yeah, my uncles were probably talking to me, and I was just like, I like Florence Henderson, and just walked away.
Who is from Owensboro, Kentucky, I might add.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Depp's hometown, and I swear to God, they're from the same. So is Rex Chapman. Isn't that crazy?
You know where everybody is from, what city every celebrity is from. He has driven through Long Island and sent me a voice message telling me what town he was driving through and what celebrities were from the town.
Yeah, Long Island. That's true. Long Island, there's virtually no town you can go through that there's not like 2 or 3 huge celebrities from. It is a hotbed. If anybody ever says, oh, what is a kid from Rockville Center doing it? Because you're 15 minutes away from it. You have access to every agent. Don't let anybody from Long Island pull that bullshit again. You have an advantage. You're in between the Hamptons and New York City. There's no more in the fray than that. People in California do it, David. They'll go, that is a kid from Beverly Hills, Long Island. Up here.
Exactly. You should do a like Hollywood Star Tours bus, but it's like the bitter, like, here's where this asshole's from, and just like give all the dirt on them.
He could head down Squabble Lane on the bus again.
Exactly.
And a double-decker bus, and he's got like his megaphone. He's like, this is Howard Stern's house.
Right.
I can totally
Here
do
comes
that.
security from out from the bushes.
Like,
right.
I could do yeah, I mean that's a great idea, because you can go to every Long Island town and you could connect it to like when Mariah Carey in Harborfield. It's just endless. Billy Crystal in Long Beach. Endless. There's no town you can't name. Almost.
You should do it. You should do the tours like just in your car, so you can only fit like 3 people at a time. So it's even like more embittered and just
You can charge more too.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, zoom in, if you would, sir. Zoom into the Depp dialogue box there.
Okay.
If you can.
See it? Is it? I can't go any more than this.
Yeah,
Can you scroll down?
How about this?
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
I just wanted to read his.
So we are Mad Magazine did a parody of 21 Jump Street. And this is the first page. It's only like it's shorter than I remember, but it was such a big deal. And so we have Captain Fuller on the top left, and it says, "Hi, I'm Captain Foolish. It's not easy being a cop." And so they do this, I guess, in all the Mad Magazine written out sketches and renderings. Although they had to do like an exposition, kind of a parody exposition.
Right.
I'm Captain Foolish. It's not easy being a cop and riding herd on the reckless youth of today who break the laws and get into all sorts of illegal messes. But since they're a team of overage undercover cops that have been assigned to do, there's not much I can do. And then Holly Robinson goes,
I'll read that if you want.
Could you?
Yeah. I'm Duty Huffs. I was picked for this special undercover team
Oh
because
my
I
God.
sort of look
Hello
black.
there.
Yeah. I had to make up for your lack of it in the last one. I'll start over. I'm Duty Huffs. I was picked for this special undercover team because I sort of look black, Hispanic, Mediterranean, Pakistani, or whatever. Coincidentally, between me and my 3 other partners, 85% of all ethnic viewers can identify with me, at least one of us, and believe me, we need all the help we can get.
Did you know that Aoki was supposed to be Hispanic originally?
Yeah, I
And
remember
Dustin
that.
Gwen went out. Yeah, it was. They wanted Hispanic as an Aoki role. By the way, that's such bullshit too. They don't portray her as Mediterranean or Pakistani. they completely made that up. But they're taking liberties. If you're gonna
Calm
make
down.
fun of it,
They're not being mean to your show.
Okay, so next one. I can't.
That episode where she's eating feta cheese. You mean she wasn't portrayed as Mediterranean?
I'm Greek. Tommy. So now Depp's character. So now we got Depp. Now look in the background. It says, "Attention! Call your probation officers today." So they have their little, not responsible for personal property or your life. Mindful. So Tom Hansen says, "Hey, I'm Tommy Hansen. I also pretend to be a student so I can uncover crimes in school. As far as my own education goes, I majored in hunk with a minor in cool. The pay isn't bad as an undercover cop, but since I go to a different school every week and my expenses are high, last year alone I had to buy 52 yearbooks and 52 class rings. And that's a pretty. What do you think about the picture of Depp?
It's not great, but it's funny.
Yeah,
Holly Robinson's is really good.
Yeah.
that looks
might call
accurate. Yeah.
Look at Deloise as I scroll up. That's really good.
You want me to ring
Depp,
that?
Depp doesn't have that gaunt of a face. Like his cheeks don't go in like that.
Yeah, he looks like
yeah.
he's messed out.
Yeah.
The hair's good though.
Yeah. He has like a David Cassidy face though, just like gaunt kind of,
The Jump Street, the hair he has is right out of episode 1, season 3, Fun with Animals, Grieco's debut. That's exactly the hairdo they went for. Because this came out during season 3. And I'm still trying to find, there's an episode in season 3 where the cast is reading the Mad Magazine issue
right.
as kind of like an
interesting.
Easter, as an Easter egg.
Right.
So they have the thing out because it was a big deal to be roasted by Mad Magazine back then. It really was. And so they all knew it and they read it and got a kick out of it. And they show them as a wink, wink, fu to Mad Magazine. They were all reading it at the same time. I think it's the Russell Buckins return episode, although I'm not positive. Okay, Sarah, read Aoki's if you would.
Okay. Oh, I'm not going crazy with this one.
I'm low key. Don't say low key. I know you.
I'm not going there. I'm low key. Okay.
I know you
I'm
want
low
to.
key, a master of impersonations. I've posed as a dull mafia boss, a boring car thief, and a lifeless big time drug dealer. I don't know who I'll pose as this week, but as long as it's someone who's stiff and unexciting, I'm ready. That's
so
very
racist.
true.
He's underused. It's not his fault. They don't
Yeah,
use him.
but look at
enough.
this. He's holding the note.
Oh, the Groucho glasses.
David, you want to read Peter
Sure.
DeLuise?
Should I be super gay in it or something?
Yeah, please.
Be Guido.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because he does have that kind of fake Brooklyn accent. Yeah.
And he's from Malibu.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I'm Dig Pinball. You may think I look too old to pass for a high school student, but in some of the schools we get into, the kids have been left back so many times. I'm usually the youngest looking one in the class. There you go. I gave
really
it something.
good.
I gave it something.
I love
Nice.
your spin on. So this is the group picture, and we scroll down, and now we have references to other things, Jump Street adjacent, and there's a great John Travolta joke in here, which I remember pretty well.
Oh Jesus!
Do you guys know the Mod Squad?
Yeah.
Apparently,
I'm old enough, yes.
it's an inspiration for Jump Street. It's an undercover show. I don't know if they went into high schools at all, and I don't think so. I never saw it, but when Jump Street came out, they constantly compared it to this.
Right.
And he writes, "Hey, we're the Mod Squad. We did a TV show 15 years ago where we posed as teenagers. Oh, they did? They really? It infiltrated schools, just like these Schmendricks are doing. Schmendricks." Schmendricks.
Yeah.
Is that Howard's Uncle Jack Adler writing that? I wonder. Schmendricks. Good God, I've never seen that written out. Go ahead, Sarah. Read the broad.
Okay. Right, we're hanging around police headquarters in case they find some work for us to handle. Hell, we don't look much older than their kids. I love that.
So the next guy says, "Hey, Travolta, what are you doing here in high school?" Okay, David,
I got left back.
From what class?
Not from any class, from my movie career.
Which is a funny joke on this show because I'm literally finding the ages out of some of these supposed students, and they're not far off from what Travolta's age was at this point. I've seen people in their 30s. There was a guy on 90210 who was 38. The basketball episode we were doing. That's and you got to remember Travolta at this time couldn't have been more out of the business.
Yeah,
like
this was the resurgence of his career with Look Who's Talking.
Pre-Tarantino. This is like nobody wanted anything to do with him.
How old was he on Welcome Back, Kotter?
It was 25.
Okay.
in his
Okay.
20s. It definitely in his
Yeah.
early to mid 20s, and everybody seemed older at that time. But I guess they're sweat hogs, and they were truly left back. It would almost make sense. So this is now, it's called the 21 Junk Heap. Artist Angela Torres, writer Dick DeBartolo. Maybe we can get this guy
You
on.
don't have to read this. We can just scroll through it.
Well, let's just see what we got here.
Okay. You're
I
not
want
going
to
to
act
make
more.
So this is they got here in the first panel, the Jump Street crew, and this is
Quail High.
like Hanson. That's exactly what he does in the chapel, right? He's
Yep.
doing some cool guys. He's either
Yeah.
sitting in Indian style or that, shooting rubber bands at Penhall's face. That's really good. Sarah had a brilliant idea that this could be something you could put in a frame. You know, this is something you should like take this, print it out, and then frame it. It would be the
Yeah, like
ultimate
mat
thing
it
to
on a
have.
poster and frame
Yes.
it.
I would have,
Yeah,
that first page we just read, I would have put that in a frame.
absolutely.
Totally. I think you still can sell it. Captain Fuller goes, I can't. My voice is so shot. I could do a good Fuller. I can't speak right now. I'll just speak the best of my.
Let's just scroll through it. You don't have to
going
read it.
down Dan Quayle High on any given day. 45% of the students are out sick, so that's the case. 45% of the students are out sick at Dan Quayle High.
That is
That's
a
the
plot
case.
line on Jump Street.
Yes.
Is
That's where it was going.
Is that a Dan Quayle joke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of like a double. Like all comedians did was Dan Quayle jokes back then.
Right.
So it was like the go-to reference. And Holly Robinson goes, "So what's so unusual about that?" And then Fuller says, "Because the kids aren't just faking it; they really are sick." And it's like, ha ha ha!
So
Kids
you
fake
don't
sick all the
like-
time.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, read Fuller.
You're all going undercover at Dan Quayle High to find out what's making those kids sick.
Great. We'll do our usual stick and incorporate current themes from newspaper. That's exactly right. So this guy knows his shit. The writer knows his shit. We'll do our usual stick and claim we incorporating themes from newspaper headlines just to look cool. And he looks.
Well, that's in that Fox promo we watched many moons ago that was like advertising the network, and one of the things they said about 21 Jump Street was like ripped from today's headlines, you know, and just like as if that was who cared.
And they ran out of gas with that, so they would start making up their own.
Yeah.
I mean, you could blatantly spot it sometimes. There's hints of it, but sometimes you can't do it every week. But once you have that as your mantra, you're good. You get a pass. Sorry, you see the panel on the right? That could also be a poster. Look at this. They're going into action.
Yeah, that's true.
See that?
Holly Robinson's weird midriff.
Yeah, it's like she's just birthed her eighth child in the alleyway. I don't know what this is.
Hey, Penhall, do you want to play Penhall, David?
Sure. We're
top left, top to the left.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like trying to tell by hairstyle, like which one is which again.
I know. I'm expecting to know. It's
right. How's this? Maybe the kids are sick from asbestos in the school's drinking water. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
Or how about from fluoride in the classroom ceilings?
Hey, maybe there's fluoride in the asbestos.
you guys may be onto something here. And the next panel, that's Fuller.
Fuller.
Okay, team, go do your thing, but beware. This is one tough school. How tough is it? It's so tough. Punks sharpen their pencils by sticking them in your ear and turning their nose. Ha hoo-ah! Now that's tough.
As usual, they give Aoki the worst lines.
Yes, of course. Okay, so here's shit. Okay, come on, old man, open that freezer up so we can switch your stuff with our stuff. So they're poisoning the school cafeteria with bad food. I'm beginning to worry about switching business. Your stuff makes kids sick. Hey, don't sweat it, Pops. These kids love grease and cholesterol. We're giving them more than they ever have before. Let me find the Jump Street crew. Okay, so the first scene we see. Gee, I never realized there's a skull and crossbones on the official government stamp of approval. That's such a Brendan line. Yeah, well, it's been since the Republicans took over the White House and they started deregulation. That's a good shot of the. Now look at Aoki here and his uh-oh, I think I'm wearing the uh-oh. I think I'm wearing the wrong undercover outfit. I forgot this isn't an inner city school, not platinum card high.
Oh God.
Okay. So that's She-Hulk next to Judy over here.
This is
Okay,
probably
you love
the
this,
most
Terry.
accurate from the Jump Street show.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, read.
Hi, I'd like to be your friend.
Go stick your head in it. Go ahead.
All right, I'll be the broads.
Be bold.
Hi, I'd like to be your friend. Go stick your head in a toilet. Hi, I'd like to be your friend. Okay, now do a friend a favor and drop dead.
This writer did his homework. He really. Go ahead, guys.
I wonder if I can switch to undercover work in a junior high school. This school is tough. How tough is it? I'll do it. The basketball teams choose up sides and then weapons.
Oh.
Huh? All right.
Okay, back to Hanson.
Oh God, we're gonna do this whole thing.
No, we can cut it off after this. Hey, I couldn't help but notice that you're high on something, guy. Drugs are dangerous to your health. I know, man. Last time I missed a payment to my pusher, I got beat up by a bad guy. But how did you know I was high on drugs? Well, in biology class, you spent 30 minutes trying to explain why you relate to a plastic skeleton model.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's got a Batman pin on his which was really hip at that time. Burton's just about to shoot Batman, or it's about to come out, in fact.
Yeah.
Something's making the kids in this school sick. Any ideas of what could be doing it? This school, angel dust, LSD, horse junk, crack, coke, take your pick. Other than drugs, well, the food they serve is every day in the cafeteria. Listen, I started taking drugs just to try to kill the side. I started taking drugs just to try to kill the side effects I got from bad food. And it's got a mullet and everything.
So we're gonna agree on this that the illustrations are the star of this, not necessarily the storyline.
The jokes that don't land. Yeah.
Yeah, like ooh.
Well, I don't know why they don't just keep. You could just keep this up. Like you could just do different. You know what I mean? Like one attempt at this is not gonna cut it. And they scroll.
I think they're making fun of how simplistic and stupid these storylines were.
How much does the 45-year-old punk kid in the middle next to Penheel look like Jeff Beck?
Yeah.
He does.
Holy shit, right? He's not even remotely trying for that. It looks exactly like Jeff Beck.
Nick Penhall looked quite handsome.
Yeah.
And he's not.
I bet you.
Oh, I just saw Robin. There's Robin.
Oh my God, that's good. I'm an undercover cop. I want to pour. Oh, that's so funny. He goes, read the Holly Robinson part, Sarah.
Okay, let me see. All right. I'm an undercover cop. I want a portion of the meat you serve as evidence. Pack it in a doggy bag. No way, creep. I'm a dog lover.
Look at Jeff Beck on the right. Oh, this is the climax. He goes, okay, we have 4 arrests here, right? Oh, what are you talking about 4 arrests? It's you 2 thieves that are under arrest. He goes, no, 4 arrests, the 4 of you. We're real undercover cops. We've been trailing you for weeks as you go from one school to another to disrupt the education system by fraud, lying, harassing students, betraying confidences, encouraging criminal behavior, and worst of all, impersonating talent. You're all under arrest.
Oof.
There's no good
not
way.
nice.
Oof, exactly. There's no good way to take that talent comment.
I'll buy that with the DeLuise, but not the Depp.
The guy who wrote the scathing Rolling Stone article should have included that last panel, like in his, like to turn the knife counterclockwise.
Well, you could do real. I mean, that show is just rife for great send-ups and parodies. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's so much. It was never really a good sketch, or anybody tried to do a sketch on it before.
Yeah.
I guess it's too late now. But I guess the movie did, right? I mean, technically, the Jonah Hill Channing Tatum movie did one big sketch in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it was really good. I never thought it was going to work. I was so bitter about turning that kind of goof, but it was an odd, weird, tongue-in-cheek homage and staying respectful to the continuity of the original. And they did they did such a good job, and then I really got to give it to them.
You guys, we should do podcast audio reenactments of Depp movies. All of our voice talents together.
Oh God. I'm sorry in advance.
Lucky them. That's right, Kathy Scott. Lucky them. Depp is in that. Sarah, did I show you that? He's fixing a fence.
Yeah,
with,
he's
like,
wearing a
ball peen
beanie.
hammer. Right.
Yeah, I've seen the clip.
I think it's set in Seattle.
It looks like it. The environment.
You know who's in that?
No.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh, okay.
And Thomas Hayden Church is in Sideways, but he's also in 21 Jump Street, season 4, episode 3. He plays the bouncer that's he's working with undercover in that club with his ex-girlfriend, the Maria Van Peebles one. So Thomas Hayden Church is in that episode. I mean, Kathy Scott knows her shit that she saw that. That's crazy.
Yeah. That would be a fun Patreon show to just like compile all the cameos that are like 5 minutes or less and kind of watch them back to back.
Totally. Totally.
We're going to be doing the Doors documentary soon where he narrates.
Oh, interesting.
What does Johnny Bye-Bye mean here? Is Sarah not watching Depp movies is a flex?
Because there are some Depp movies I don't want to watch, and that is me
a power move.
Sending a message. Yeah,
okay.
Power move. Not really. I just haven't watched them.
Yeah.
Cal, it's Fear and Loathing is the best. Cal is right. It's not that the movie's so great. It's just a crazy adaptation of a book that they deemed unfilmable. And his performance as Thompson's about as good as he's ever been as an actor, but it's like it's just not for everybody. It's just you have to appreciate what they're doing to appreciate it.
I'm gonna watch it for the first time on the Patreon, but I'm gonna have to be like drugged through it.
Don't worry. Yeah, that's you want to be
through it, whatever.
You want to be drunk and high when you're watching it.
No.
It became a thing where it became a tradition where people would like have a get wasted watching Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas because it kind of glorifies it. It really makes drinking look good, I feel. And the cameos in that movie, Sarah, are crazy.
Okay.
There's so many weird little. I told you when I saw Penn Jillette in New York, across the street, and I talked to him about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and he's like, "How did you see that?" He's like, I showed Johnny around Vegas the whole time when he got there. Because I don't think anyone's ever brought that up to him or knew he was in it. It's like the last thing you'd bring up to him.
It would be funny if you ran into like Suzanne Summers and said, "Did you know that Three's Company was in Donnie Brasco?"
You remember that?
I remember you telling me that. Yeah,
with Sonny Red's son, Bruno, and he's on the boat. It took me like my 30th watch of that to realize that was in there. It's so small,
right,
and truncated.
That was 30 watches ago.
Subi Sue 73 loves some Fear and Loathing. Gilbert Grape. Who's in the orgy with Gilbert Grape? Darlene Cates, right?
Yeah. Rest in peace.
I don't know if people know this. This might be this is what we do here, right? Inside baseball. Twib notes. Like, who am I? Johnny Bench over here.
Careful what you reveal.
No. This is just it's said that from people who know Depp, that the Gilbert Grape character is the closest to the real Depp in anybody he's ever portrayed on screen. That Gilbert Grape's kind of subtle. He's like up in his head a lot. He speaks when spoken to. He's kind of sly, and he's kind of that Gilbert Grape's life and or the persona is closest to who Depp really is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's one movie. I don't know if I can say, sure, I'll give it a shot. I can't. I'll cry.
Oh, you will cry. You will cry.
Yeah, I can't.
It
wrecks me.
The biggest cry I've ever had in my life in a movie is when they burn the house down with the mom inside.
Oh God.
Yeah.
When she did you see Gilbert Grape, W?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long time ago, but I remember that scene because
you must love the score, the musical score.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. It's
oh
like
my God,
piano thing throughout.
Piano is crazy. Just it devastates you, that piano during that.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like
really,
this
really
Bruce
effective.
Hornsby End of the Innocents piano solo that's going on, and they burn the house down, and after she dies of a heart attack, and
Yeah.
Depp's best acting in that movie might be probably during that scene. He goes crazy because they have like supports. John Riley built supports in the basement for the mom who's 600 pounds, and he just destroys these supports. And that's why, I mean, that's why I feel, and a lot of people feel that's the real guy when that switch goes off.
Yeah.
And he had just gotten over the Winona Ryder breakup during that, so he's in
Right.
that scene, and that led to the intervention that Tracy Jacobs staged at his house right after
Yeah,
that
that was his
episode.
Mm.
heroin era.
There's a
Oh,
lot of stuff
interesting.
going on in that movie. It's such a good cast. I think DiCaprio's the most overrated actor in Hollywood, and his best stuff is really that
Yeah,
when he was
that's why
younger.
I can't
Yeah.
watch it.
No, he's brilliant as Arnie. I mean, it's the best thing he's ever done, and I don't think anything will come close to it. And he's
Yeah.
got that, he's like DiCaprio's got that like, man-child, skinny, fat, weird physique, and it kind of works there in autism
Hmm.
here.
Mm,
You know
mhm.
how he's got the
He's the
gray
super wide face. Yeah.
weird physique, and like just perpetual
Big
man
hog though.
baby. Like who?
Big hog though.
How do you know everyone's penis size? What is
It's
that?
in books. His penis is
Oh,
in
come
books.
on. Isn't he a guy like he has the best PR, right? He's so got this. We need him to have a huge Me Too scandal coming down the pipe. I really want him to have some bad luck in his life. We should take DiCaprio's Charmed Life and Jessica Alba's Charmed Life and just distribute 1% of it to the rest of the country. We'd have no problems. We'd have no problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, Bobby Brown, the cherry pie broad, I read her book, and she talks about Leonardo's big wiener.
oh my God.
So what Sarah does is she goes to the bookstore. She goes to like Barnes and Noble and looks in
No,
the
you should see my
index
Kindle. It's
for
full of
dick
just
or
like
penis or something and just looks for it's crazy.
my Kindle is full of like F-list celebrity autobiographies.
Pellel, I did bring up Dan Marino to Depp because Dan Marino was part of a charity concert that started the whole conversation in my dream because he did a charity concert with Bruce Witkin, who we're going to look at soon,
Yeah.
and Sal Jenko when he went back to Florida.
Sarah, we should instead of Mr. Skin, we should start like Mr. Foreskin or something and just like document like dicks and
Has
movies.
anyone tried that yet?
Oh, I'm sure.
You got to trademark that shit.
I'm
man.
sure
That's
there is
really
a
good.
version
I'm
of
sure
that.
there is.
Yes.
Yeah.
My theory on Leonardo DiCaprio, the reason he likes younger girls, I'm not talking about he's a pedophile, but like
Right.
teenagers, 19 years old, 20, 25-year-old women, he was traumatized on the set of Growing Pains
Right.
at around that age. That's my theory by Brian Peck. And I'm sticking with it.
Well, every time I hear celebrity, encounters on the set,
There's
Depp
a
is
video of
voted.
it.
Depp is voted the most compatible, fan-friendly superstar.
Mhm.
DiCaprio is voted the worst. So he will not talk
Yeah.
to you. He will not look at you. You're instructed to not
He's
look
very
at him.
entitled.
He's so entitled. Such a spoiled brat. He needs to be humbled in the worst way. I really mean that. I really, really want to see him go down with some kind of Me Too thing.
Well, what was his character's name in Growing Pains? Was like Skippy or something?
Luke.
Luke.
Yeah,
Okay.
Luke. Yeah.
He was adopted.
Yeah.
That's right. I just run into him on the street and like, hey, aren't you Luke from that show?
Yeah, and then just only bring that up.
Yeah, right.
Just only bring. That's so great.
Kirk Cameron had become unappealing with the Jesus freak shit, and he was still on
Yeah.
the show, so they brought
Right.
in a young Leo.
He was supposed to be a huge superstar.
And
Kirk Cameron,
Sarah,
yeah.
Sarah, I'm sure you know this. Leonardo DiCaprio's he's an extra in an episode of Roseanne. He's
Yes,
in the
he is.
classroom. Yeah.
Mhm.
How did you know that?
We watched the show.
We watched the show, and I just know that piece of trivia somehow. And,
He's an extra in the background.
yeah, it's in a class. So it's in Darlene's classroom, and he's sitting at one of the desk pods. So there's a bunch of kids in a classroom, and he's one of them.
When he plays a fully fledged adult or a tough guy or an alpha male, it's laughable. It's laughable. I've walked out of theaters because of him. how bad it looked and how he's so crowbarred into everything. Like Scorsese thinks because his last name sounds, or his whole name sounds so Italian that
It's so true.
Scorsese crowbars him into every goddamn movie as his
Mhm.
new muse or his new De Niro. It's so bad. He's so
Yeah.
miscast in everything. Good God.
If anybody wants to check out the Brian, and there's a video. There was an special behind the scenes of Growing Pains. Brian Peck was a writer for Growing Pains, and that whole set was full of like
That's the
just
Dan Schneider guy.
pedophile producers, etc.
Right.
And it, everybody. If you ever watched the E True Hollywood Story of Growing Pains, that came out well before everything came out about the pedophilia on that set. But every person interviewed there, almost every producer has been arrested for having like images that they shouldn't
Oh,
have,
God.
all that stuff. But Brian Peck, if you just Google Brian Peck and Leonardo DiCaprio or YouTube search it, there's a video of Brian Peck, a young Leonardo DiCaprio is like wandering and giving a tour of the set. And Brian Peck, a much older man, creepy man, is
Mhm.
clinging to him and grabbing him and
Ugh.
playfully slapping him. You cannot tell me, if you watch that, you cannot tell me he didn't do something to that boy.
Well,
Oh,
his thing was he
completely.
was tutor slash acting coach, right, to
Yeah.
all the young Hollywood. So
Mhm.
that's how he
That's how you
got
get
him.
in. Yeah.
He was Dan
Right.
Schneider's producer. Surprise, surprise.
Mhm.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah.
His office got raided at Nickelodeon, and he found all sorts of teen porn all over the
Yeah.
place. And his
Ugh,
house. He
it's
got arrested,
disgusting.
and the day he got out, they let him onto that Charlie Sheen piece of shit, that derivative, that thing, Anger Management, which Sam Simon's a producer of, and they let
Mhm.
him be a consultant on the show and an acting coach again, right back into it,
Well,
right
like
back into.
the director of the movie Powder also was he did a movie in the late 80s, like a horror movie where he molested a 12-year-old boy, and so you know it came out while Powder was being promoted. The boy came for, he was much older then, but he came forward about the molestation, and this director went on to direct like Jeepers Creepers, and I mean he was directing shitty movies, but he still was allowed to work in Hollywood. I mean it's insane, you know.
Oh my, Sean Patrick Flannery over here. Powder is the ultimate reference for someone who can't tan. You know, you
Right.
I was at the beach with this guy, and he left 5 hours later. He still looked like fucking powder. Powder.
Yeah.
So many people saw that movie that it's like the ultimate reference. But I bet you it didn't even make $5 million in the theater.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that scandal is part of the reason too.
I didn't know that at all, David.
Yeah.
I had no knowledge of.
I forget the guy's name, but he made oh God, he's a later on famous actor, was in this horror movie, and it was about like three, brothers aged 12 to 17, experiencing like
The same molestation.
well, only one of them was molested off camera, but it's a horror movie, so they're just
Okay.
like, anyway, whatever. People can look it up.
Wasn't Freddy Krueger supposed to be a pedophile technically? Did they ever say that in the movie?
It's
Well, they
alluded
say,
to.
yeah, they say like filthy child murderer or something, which
Yeah.
is
Okay.
not a natural phrase you can,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And in the remake where they take you like into his glove making scene, it's alluded to where the parents are chasing him down. That's why they like set him on fire because
Yes.
Right.
and you have the imagery of the little blonde girl on the tricycle. Come
Right.
on. We
Yeah.
know what you're referring to.
There's a lot of clues.
Brendan
Yeah.
caught me. I was humble bragging that I own a TV tray. If anything, that hunched over thing. I can't eat off a coffee table. I have to be upright. If you have anything, so I think those TV trays are invaluable. You can use them for like to put your computer on it, and
Yeah.
it's like have like 10 of them in every house. Everyone should. You're right,
Well,
though. He's bragging.
I make fun of you because whenever you claim to be like a renegade, where it's like I always reference you using a descrambler to watch Julia Roberts and I Love Trouble.
That's G Canada's shtick. David, that's Testicular Providence's stick about me being a rebel. Like exactly what you just said. Here he is. I want to hear more about G Canada's nightmares.
I don't know that I do. I'm
You
frightened.
don't want to hear about his testicular
I don't want to be an
providence?
accessory.
We got to start the Depp delusion with infiltration with G Canada as testicular provenance on Reddit. I can't wait. I can't wait. I got to set the character. I was just about to do it before I got sick too.
I got to
I
bow
know.
out soon, so we get into the main event.
Yeah. The key grips had to take 20 COVID tests to get in the driveway, says Pella. I believe that. I believe that. Love you too, Johnny Meyer. We love you too. I can't wait to have you back. 30-something Morton Downey Jr. 30 better than 21 Jump Street. How dare you, Johnny Bye Bye? How dare you? All revolutionary at the time. I actually watched. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, do you remember when Morton Downey Jr. punched Stuttering John?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you know New York, David, but the Channel 9 Stern show was on this thing called WOR, and it's kind of a local channel to the tri-state area, and it had local programming, and the Morton Downey Jr. show, which I believe was syndicated.
I think
Is
that's
that
right.
true?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had it
21
here.
Jump Street. 21 Jump Street referenced Morton Downey once, so I assume it was syndicated.
Yeah.
Depp said to Greek, goes, "What are you, Morton Downey?" And I'm like, I didn't know. I thought it was only in New York. So this WOR is like a local channel, and they would have, and like sports wise, I remember like up until maybe the late 80s, the Nets were on there, the Knicks were on there, some hockey was on there, the Mets. The New York Mets, a large part of their schedule was on this WOR, and I could never tell when shit was national. You know, you have your Fox. Fox was like that too. Fox used to be like that. Fox used to be local and sometimes national on certain days. WB, WPIX, CW.
Yeah. It's interesting how very regional television was back in the early 90s. You know, I before, like, even when celebrities would just go on like satellite to do interviews for a bunch of junkets, they would have to travel to like do, you know, Good Morning Butte, Montana or something.
Yes.
And, you know, it's like local talk shows that have a studio audience, you know, in Boise, Idaho or something. And it just seemed to go away as the 90s rolled on.
Yeah. I mean, as technology increased, things became more national and people watch less local TV. To this day, when someone says they watch something local, I mean, are you really watching local news still?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess there's enough people who love their town, they can't look past the 15 miles around them and will only watch local stuff. You love your state, Sarah. You do.
I do. I love my state.
Beth Stern is the only one giving local news ratings.
Yeah. J.I. Young, welcome. J.I. Young writes, the first few years of Mad TV were raw as hell. The stinger commercials and the OJ skit with them trying to find the killer, but constantly messing up and admitting to the crime. Artie is horrible in it. Yeah, Mad TV was their answer to the magazine saying, let's just put this to TV, for Christ's sake. We're writing these out. And
Wasn't it just, it was a total ripoff of SNL, and they just called it Mad TV, in my opinion.
Well, it was pre-taped. The difference was Mad
There's a
TV,
difference. Yeah,
it wasn't live, and it was, I know, but I'm saying it was, and I guess they felt that, you got to remember when Mad TV came out, Saturday Night Live couldn't have been worse. Like, it was, Dana Carvey left, Phil Hartman left, and it was on life support. Lorne Michaels has some hocus pocus to keep that show on the air. That's an executive with weird. They should have pulled
pictures of
times.
someone doing something.
It was the only reason it lasted, I think, is because NBC had this weird must-see TV audience from Seinfeld and ER and stuff, and shit like that was. I don't know how he kept. It had no business going on. Like you talk about no accountability. It was they weren't even trying at a certain point in terms of the writers were all jaded and the ideas were wrong. They casted it wrong. And it was primed to be beaten. And that's when Mad TV came along.
Harry Shearer did an interview on Howard in like 2010, and he was talking about how he was gossiping about Lorne Michaels and how he doesn't like him, and he said something to the effect of, the one thing I admire about Lorne Michaels is he somehow created a show that has no competition on the other networks
Yeah.
because he like
Yes.
bought the airtime or something.
Yes.
He had some explanation
Yes.
for
There's
it.
nothing on, like, most of those years, there's nothing against it. Who was it competing against? So you're just programmed to throw that on at 11:30 every Saturday night, no matter what.
I think NutriBullet infomercials would have more respect than that garbage show has now.
Yeah.
But you got to remember too about Lorne Michaels is he's not interested in comedy. He's interested in making stars.
And fame.
So it's not, and fame. So it's not, comedy is the least importance in his mind. He's going, what can I
Yeah.
do with? Can I turn a movie franchise from this idiot? Can I? It's not about comedy. Some of the stuff I've heard get rejected on that show is far better than anything they. I mean, I can't. So the guy doesn't. It's not about comedy. It's about star fucking and fame.
Well, he has the mentality of someone who's looking to flip houses, you know, just like, let me take
Yes.
this, you know, groundlings, you know.
Yeah, he wants credit for
dilettante.
discovering people. Yes, yes. His big thing is he wants credit for discovering people. Yes, that's right.
Do you remember
That's his main goal.
Artie was telling the story of meeting with Lorne Michaels, and he had already been on Mad TV. And I guess Lorne even said to him, like, here's why you'll never be on the show, because you've already been, you know,
famous.
You've already been
else.
exposed to America. You know, it didn't work with Janine Garofalo because she had already come from Larry Sanders' show. And so I think Artie said something to the effect of, like, it only works when I discover people, you know, is what Lorne Michaels said. Just arrogant.
Yeah, he'll contradict. He's absolutely. And notice the season you mentioned, right? It was like Chris Elliott.
Yeah.
Janine Garofalo was on that weird season, and that's when it got really bad.
Right.
Chris Elliott, who the hell? Michael McKean.
Right.
So they were famous before that. So he broke his own rule by putting them on, and since then he had fucking Kenan Thompson on, who had already been. That was weird. Yeah.
All
so
that.
he
right.
contradict that if it's convenient for him in
Yes.
some way. But I could totally see that conversation happening. Polly Draper, she was in Crybaby, Johnny Bye Bye. You see, I think Johnny Bye Bye has some weird Depp connection that we'll never know because he just knows too much. You know, sometimes you just go, the haters, like the Depp delusion, Sarah, they know more about him than the fangirls do. Way more. Because I think, much like us with Howard, I'll tell you, the other night, this is how much I hate Howard. I was searching through a behind-the-scenes Howard TV video looking for the parking garage. So I watched a Gary Delabate day in the life. And I sat there like, this is a Bruder film. And Gary pulls into a parking garage, and I think I found the freight elevator lift that Howard pulls into.
Oh my God, that's
so this
crazy.
is the stuff we're looking for. So the Depp delusion people do the same thing. They're looking for dirt on him all day long.
Yeah. Was that at K-Rock that you found?
No, serious.
Oh, it's serious. Okay, never mind.
So there's like a freight elevator that can fit a car into it, which is what Opie said happened at Sirius. So I went and I'm going through this Gary thing. Gary pulls into a parking garage at 5:20 in the morning, and then you see an elevator, a freight elevator behind him, waiting for something. Like he has to clear a path for this limo. You don't see the limo pull in, but you can clearly tell it's waiting for something.
Right.
It's got to be it. It's got to be it. Lisa G is constantly harassed, but yeah, J.I. Young. I have so many clips of Lisa G. Sal pulled his pants down and did a Yokozuna and chased her around with his ass through the hallway. Through the hallway.
I'm going to the real HR. There's got to be an HR there.
Yeah.
So I made a clip of that and sent it to Lisa G, and she blocked me.
Really?
Yeah, she's just such she can't get out of that cult. And but you think she'd be super litigious at a certain point? She'd be so bitter she's not there anymore that she would.
I think she's happy to be included in anything, and even if that means the former lore of the Stern Show, she's just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You're right.
There's a couple times where she refused to do something. I think because she knew she ultimately wasn't getting paid for it. Like that's the difference between her, who had some radio background, and like Sal and Richard, who just are happy to be playing in the sandbox. They don't care if they're underpaid and making horrible wages.
That's so funny. So that I just this new I'm making I'm making a new for the Patreon, and it's the Inti Awards. So the interns do an award show,
Oh
and you
yeah,
get
right.
behind the scenes of like what the Stern people are really like, and what like people who don't have no dog in the hunt, people who don't want to
Yeah.
get hired, kids who just don't give a shit about the show, give their opinion on like who's the creepiest, who's the.
Right.
It's really good, and then it carries into more gossip. And at one point, Sal during the thing, I don't know why this comes up, but Sal says exactly that. He's like, I don't give a shit how much money I was making on Wall Street. He's like, I work for this show. He's like, I take all the money from the show, just give it to my wife. He's like, I took a huge pay cut from Wall Street. He was like, I want to be on the show so bad. I would never be able to live with myself. And I take my entire salary from the show and I just give it to my wife because all I want to do is be here. That's the type of sycophants he gets to do this shit for him. That's the attitude. That's how they last.
Yeah. Sal is exactly the Sal is the product of exactly what Howard is trying to do with his radio show, because, my theory is he wants it to be Camp Well Met. He wants to curate the circle jerks for the other boys. And Sal is, he even said that in his toast at their engagement party, is like, I loved lesbian dial-a-date, and so Howard has only himself to blame for the fact that Sal wants to sleep in the bed with him at night. And by the way, I don't doubt for a minute that Howard would, if he could, take Sal up on the,
work for free.
Well, not that, but the whole saga of Sal doing a comedy show late in the city and asking if he can sleep over at Howard's apartment.
Yeah.
I don't doubt for a minute that if everyone in the world died, Howard would take him up on that, because that's why he went through everything he did with his radio show, to cultivate these straight guys to be turned on by the women on his show. And therefore he thinks in his mind, like, oh, they're actually turned on by me. I'm the reason that they're turned on because I provided them with this content. He's that sick. I truly believe that.
Johnny Bob, I go, Stern's afraid of the mob because the mob shut up Curtis Sliwa after you criticized the mob on his radio show. No, he's right. That's how the mob works.
Right.
Listening to that, like, that's exactly right. That's a great reference, Johnny. The Curtis Sliwa thing. I forgot about that.
Guardian Angels.
That's it's an interesting. There's a documentary on him that's pretty good. Curtis Sliwa.
His wife Lisa was on the show. I mean, I know they both were, but his wife was on the show a lot too, on Stern.
She's interesting. She's apparently like a whatever degree black belt, and I mean they were literally on like patrol in the big bad 80s, like, sitting on subways and shit. It's a crazy. There's a 21 Jump Street episode based on the Guardian Angels.
Guardian Angels
season 2. It's really good. It's remember this Sarah Aoki and Hoffs joined the Guardian Angels at season 3.
Do they have like off red berets in order to not get sued?
Yeah, they do. No, they do. They do. Yes, they do.
I gotta go soon.
Okay. So now our main event. This is Johnny Depp's first wife, Lori Ann Allison, who made news recently. She was on Popcorn Planet, who is one of these kind of does like a pop culture site.
Very popular.
He grifted on to the Depp trial like a lot of people did, and really took it to the nth degree, and it's kind of just taken over. He's got some really good people. He had Anne Heche on the show before she passed away to Cameo. He got on Joe Pistone, the real Donnie Brasco. Seems like a nice guy. He seems like I think he used to work for Kevin Smith, who is also a Depp.
He had kind of an empire going with, I forget what media entity it was, but he ran into he was canceled basically.
Okay.
And then he lost it all and he had to start again with Popcorn Planet. What we're about to watch is we're going to have to pause, and we're going to have, this is a total fair use, and we are going to transform content. So sit back.
This is, before I do, this is an article she had. So yeah, she did an interview with him and it made news. And I didn't even realize where it came from. And it is right here. Johnny Depp's first wife slams Amber Heard. I'll just like skim through this. Sorry.
You're good.
How about we just watch the interview?
Lauren
don't have to
Allison makeup. Okay, what I want to do first here, let me give you a background story. So Popcorn Planet did kind of a telethon for the Make-A-Wish Foundation to celebrate the year-long Fairfax anniversary. So that's going to be a thing now where this trial is so big we're having anniversaries for it.
That's weird.
And during this, so en route, I didn't even realize this until today. I just want to give you, so I don't have to talk through it and read this. I want to get this really robotic website did a fucking biography on Depp's first wife. He married this broad who, I'll tell you. So this is when he was 20 and she was 25. She is the sister-in-law of Bruce Whitkin, his bandmate. She dated Nicolas Cage and Adam Ant before him. She's like a makeup artist, and it's going to show it. So I found this little robotic biography.
Our very own Kathy,
Home
by the way, has
biography,
chatted
Lori
with her
Ann
via
Allison.
DM.
Say again, sir?
I said our very own Kathy has chatted with her via DM.
Oh, she's saying that at the bottom?
No,
Okay.
she sent that to me in our
Oh, okay,
communication.
okay. Oh, you know it, but I don't.
Mhm.
And that's fair to me? You're having dreams. You
That's
can't.
not my problem.
One thing I know about you is you love knowing information before
You
me
sleep
or
until
anybody.
5 in the evening. Usually
I
I will
don't.
learn things
That's
before
such
you do.
hyperbole. That's such hyperbole. We're vampires. We're Hollywood vampires.
Biography facts about Lori Ann Allison. Celebrated name Lori Ann Allison, age 64 years, nickname LD.
Oh, God.
Birth name Lori Ann Allison. Birth date the 6th of September 1957. Gender female. Profession makeup artist. Birth nation United States. Place of birth Miami, Florida. Nationality American. Ethnicity white. Horoscope Virgo. Famous as an American makeup artist. TV personality. An entrepreneur best known for No. Click here to help us to improve this page. Lori Ann
Gotta do a lot of
Allison is an
clicking.
American makeup artist, TV personality, and entrepreneur who is best known for being the former wife of Johnny Depp.
Tell me where to click. I'm ready.
Johnny is an American actor,
Who's that?
produced the knot on December 20th, 1983, and later the couple tied the knot on December 20th, 1983, and later got
86.
divorced on March 7th, 1986.
I think, it says March 7th. I think they were separated way before that.
Yeah.
So according to this, they were not together that long.
No.
I mean, he literally is Sherilyn Fenn on his helmet, no pun intended, and Platoon.
I think you meant that.
During Platoon. So he's with Sherilyn Fenn, I want to say sometime in late 85.
Lori also owns a small cupcake business called D-Cups.
Oh my God.
Oh,
That's
Lord.
kind of funny. It's kind of
That's
cute.
my cupcake company.
Yeah. And Lisa G's.
You broads and your cupcakes. You Homo sapiens and your guns.
Her ethnicity is white, while Virgo is her
Who is
zodiac
this?
sign.
What
Lori
is
was
this?
raised in her hometown,
Macy
Miami,
Gray.
along with her
Swear to
younger
God,
sister,
that's my former
Suzanne
roommate.
Allison Whitkin.
With my voice now, I think I could do that. I try to say goodbye. And I
We gotta make it through this, so please don't. Oh.
Jesus Christ.
She did her schooling at Abbott High School. She ultimately grasped the basics of makeup
What?
application. At the age of 13,
What's
she
going on here?
experienced real makeup for the first time after getting a full face makeup done by one of the salesladies in the boutique named Collins Avenue, Miami Beach.
There's a car alarm going off in my
She
background.
then started learning some real techniques of makeup and got the understanding that makeup was actually about enhancing one's features and not about exaggerating them.
Is that true, Sarah?
What? Sorry.
The makeup.
David Bowie and makeup artist Way Bandy were two of her major sources of cosmetics inspiration. She also wanted to work in the music industry as she had many friends from the industry.
Okay.
She initially was set on becoming a record producer, but her ambition was dashed by an unpleasant tragedy.
SIM card.
She lost hearing in her left ear due to
Hey,
a
me
target
too.
shooting mishap.
What does a SIM card
Her
have to do
friends,
with?
Adam Ant, an actress, Christina Applegate suggested
Is the
she
blonde
become a makeup
Adamant?
artist. Lori then
Blonde is
moved to Los
Christina
Angeles,
Applegate, I think.
California, to pursue her career as a makeup artist.
As a foosball champion? Is that what
She then
did?
worked in the 1995 film, Cyber Bandits. She has also made her appearances in various TV series including The Ultimate Lie, Supreme Court of Comedy, and Stand Up to Cancer.
How many times can he open his laptop?
In 2015, she launched her makeup product range,
This is
Serendipity
pitiful.
Lip Glosses. She also owns a small cupcake business named D
Okay,
Cups.
we're repeating now. So
According to sources,
this is young Joan
she
Jett.
stands tall with a height of 5 feet, 1.52 meters, and has a body weight of 50.
That's so hilarious. It's so
What is
hilarious.
this video?
I gotta
know
know
what-
the
you know what makes me
backstory behind
That
how
makes
they
me
made
sick.
this.
There is no effort put into this video, and it probably has 3 million views.
No, it doesn't
Right.
at all. It's like I think I'm all 19 views.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't. You'll be happy to hear. So give you a little backstory there.
Kind of.
And that's kind of just like a general biography on her, so I don't have to read it. This is Bruce Witkin, who is Depp's close friend and bandmate from Florida. This is him describing kind of how they, how she got involved in their history, and then I have something else with him.
Looking up, the jury is in the courtroom. First witness of the day will be video deposition, and the individual's name is Bruce Witkin, just starting.
And did Depp ever become family?
To me? Yeah.
Who was the first person that Depp married?
My sister-in-law, Lori Ann Allison. Yes.
Okay. And was that around the time?
It's right when we moved out here in 1984.
Okay.
Now, remember, he's testifying for Amber Heard, not for Depp.
Right.
That's a huge component to this. He is the brother-in-law of Depp's first wife, and he's testifying for Amber Heard.
So how long have you known Mr. Depp? How many years?
It's got to be over 40, maybe from 82 to now.
And would you consider yourself friends with Mr. Depp?
We were until about 4 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. And before 4 years ago, were you close friends?
Yeah, I would consider him my best friend. Yeah.
Why are you not?
Was he
friends
like a
anymore?
brother to you before 4 years ago?
I mean, yeah, we were brothers. You would call me a brother, I'd call him a brother. Yeah.
And you opened
We had
his
a lot in
wallet.
common.
Is it fair to say that he was like family before 4 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, he was friends with my mom. My mom loved him. I mean, yeah, we had a...
It goes on. I might have time to play this, but I found another interview with him we did for this Viper Room podcast, which is, I think it's called Underground something or other. And he said that Witkin's mom was like his second mom, like really, really close with her. When she died, they had a tribute concert to her in Florida. So this is kind of a sad dissolution here.
We're as close as you can get.
And do you agree to tell the truth today, regardless of, and has Amber been nice to you since you've met her?
Amber was always very nice to me, yes.
And would you consider Mr. Depp to be a romantic person?
Yeah, I think so.
And why do you say that?
Just by the way I've seen him act, you know.
And have you noticed a certain intensity of Mr. Depp's relationships?
Look at Depp won't look up.
Have you ever observed Mr. Depp exhibit any jealousy when he's been in a relationship?
Yes.
Sarah brings up a really good point. I'm sorry. Testimonies. This was the most disturbing, where he couldn't make eye contact at all with him. This is Tracy Jacobs, and what was the other one? I felt he was the most.
Well, eventually Whitney Heard.
Whitney Heard, but this is worse, I think, because I mean, this is a complete 180, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is his best friend, essentially just turning on him in the worst possible way. Like I said, he's Amber Heard's witness, not his.
Yeah.
Which is crazy when you think about his ex-wife and what we're
In a
about to
relationship.
Yes.
And do you remember when?
I go all the way back to my sister-in-law. I mean, you can definitely have a jealous streak in them.
Can you remember any specific examples?
You know, when he was younger, he was jealous of Nick Cage or jealous of Adam Ant because my sister-in-law knew them.
And was besides that initial time period, did he ever tell you about any?
He says knew them. She dated them.
Right.
So she went out with Nicolas Cage and Adam Ant when Depp first got to California from Miramar, and he was like, I wanted to get with Whitkin's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And I guess he was exhibiting jealousy each time. Yeah. Somebody brought up Juliette Lewis. I think it was Tonecott or Texaho or something. Yeah, Juliette Lewis supposedly had a fling with Depp on Gilbert Grape, but it's not. I feel like it happened. And she was actually Brad Pitt's girlfriend at the time, which is bizarre. I don't know if it's substantiated. I believe that happened, but he really hadn't gotten over the Winona Ryder thing, and it sent him into a real downward spiral.
So Bruce is trying to protect Lorianne's honor here by not saying that she dated them, but just knew them. Yeah.
Yes, it sounds exactly like what he's doing here.
Jealousy with any other women or any other times?
I hate men.
Yeah. You know, he brought up a few with Vanessa, which were ridiculous. A lot of it was in his head and not in reality.
Sarah, do you know if Depp being jealous of Vanessa parody in any way?
I have no idea. I wasn't there. He might have been.
I don't know of any. I would have said reverse, but I mean it's possible. But I don't.
You could have had everybody in a relationship. Everybody has moments of jealousy that you share with your friends. It's like I wonder why is she with this guy? What are they talking about? Who cares?
That's true. We're all kind of jealous at some point or another.
She should have been jealous of him too. They were, I'm sure they both brought up jealousy issues to their friends about each other.
Yeah.
It's every relationship.
You know what I mean?
And what about with Amber? Did you ever encounter any talk from JD of jealousy with respect to Amber?
Yeah, there were a couple mentions if she was doing a movie with some guy or stuff like that.
In terms of jealousy, would anything make Mr. Depp more bothered or less bothered?
Like I said, it would if she was on a film or doing something.
My favorite part. I'm gonna jump ahead.
Were you around Mr. Depp at this time in April of 2016? And did you say this was at 3 a.m. when he called?
It was late. I can't exactly, but it was later than I imagined that I'd get a call. So I thought it was, something bad. So yeah, I went down.
So Stephen called at around 3 a.m. And then you went down and you're.
Here's what I noticed during this, Sarah. By the way, that was muted. Some of it. Every time he bring Marilyn Manson up, they mute him.
Both sides agreed to the editing of these depositions.
So weird. Every time his name comes up, it's muted.
But why? He's the godfather to Depp's daughter. Why would they be embarrassed?
That's very true.
My house downtown at 3 a.m, maybe 20 minutes.
Did you ever talk to Amber when you went over that morning?
I don't remember if I talked to her. I'm sure I probably said everything's going to be all right. By the time I got there, you can tell there was a vibe in the house, but I didn't see anything.
And if we could pull up Exhibit 13, other bandmates.
Yes.
Did you ever see?
Okay, so that's my favorite part about the Wiccan ceremony. Joe Perry is supposed to be sober for 45 years. Mm-hmm. He throws him under the bus about doing cocaine.
Other bandmates.
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp doing drugs with Joe Perry?
Yes.
And what types of drugs did you see them do?
They were doing cocaine.
And how do you know they were doing cocaine?
Because I was in the room.
And around what time was that?
It was pretty late.
What year?
It had to be 2016 because that's when we were on the road.
That's crazy. Think about a 70-something-year-old Joe Perry doing
God.
cocaine. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
And again, he's supposed to be like Mr. Sobriety for years and years, and he blows up his spot. That Depp looked the angriest during that because I think he thinks it's going to sabotage his whole Hollywood vampires
Right.
thing. That he let him into that circle.
All right, I gotta go. So you guys enjoy the Lori Depp portion.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. All right, Sarah.
All right, and get to it, and you have to pause. It's fair use.
I know.
Okay.
Let me know about the Golden Girls show too. I'd love to sit in.
I absolutely will. I'll send you an email ASAP.
Cool. Sounds
All right.
good.
Okay.
Looking
Bye,
forward
Sarah.
to that.
Everybody, love you. Thank you for the donations. Keep them coming if you can. Bye.
So I want to show you this from the Depp Delusion. So they're all over this.
By the way,
Yeah.
before we move on, I was reminded seeing Amber in the corner there that every hairstyle was an audition. Like I could play Heidi. Look at me with my like German, nanny hairstyle.
Besides Aquaman, the eyeballs on that trial, right? She's looking at it like every casting agent is looking
Yeah.
at her, and she's gonna dazzle them with every. That's exactly right. So
Every
each
day
time
is-
she's gonna put her different. She's auditioning. Exactly right.
Every day is a different panel in her theoretical headshot, collection.
And so this Depp Delusion Reddit subreddit is all over this, and they have these and they have a thread on. Show me if it. Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
See it? So it says here, this comes out, and I kind of knew this, and Johnny Depp's ex-wife Lori Depp asked him for money to buy a house in 2019. I think this was deleted from. This is one of like the unsealed documents. She, an old friend talking about where does it say that? Who is Lori? Well, that's his first wife. Okay, she's asking for money to buy a house, and of course, there's Camille. Objection. Calls for speculation. Objection. No matter, she would say objection before the question was even asked.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask the question, Ms. Vasquez, and you're objecting. She contacted you and asked you to pass along a request to Mr. Depp to buy a house. Did you loan money to buy a house, or did you give her money to buy a house, right? Hearsay, speculation. I mean, so this is Lori Depp. Whatever. It's part of the body of text, whatever. I passed it on. I'm sorry I'm interrupting. Do you recall one of the other, did Johnny give her money or loan to buy a house? I wouldn't have gone through all that if he did. It would have gone right through his business manager, so I can't comment on that. I don't know. Meanwhile, yes. And this is her. They find, let me see if I can find this. So they go on to find that she's asking for a, what do they call it? When you ask for money online to, GoFundMe.
Oh, GoFundMe. Okay.
She wants to get corrective eye surgery.
Oh, geez.
This is her on Instagram, Serendipity, and she kind of
she kept her married.
Yeah.
Name? Okay.
Susan Allison Whitkin is Bruce Whitkin's wife.
Okay.
Lori Allison is the sister of her.
Got it.
So two of these women are as anti-Amber Heard as you could possibly be. Right. Where they're writing it in public to each other and people are screenshotting it. Bruce Whitkin just testified against her. So how does this all work?
Right. Oh, that's
right?
Interesting.
What the hell's going on with this?
Well, and he was in the testimony, he was making it seem like Depp is jealous of my precious, beautiful sister-in-law. And it's like, but if you ask the sister-in-law, she's like, I didn't care about that, or something to that effect,
Right. So Whitkin's wife writes this not too long ago about Amber Heard. This is so crazy to me. I will not vote Susan Allison Whitkin. I will not vote for someone, back someone, or support someone solely because of their race, religion, color of the skin, nor will I defend someone based on any of the above either. Feminism is fine, but all this crap about supporting someone based on their gender is not for me. Whether it's got a penis or a vagina makes no difference to me, and I will not ever defend someone because they're a woman. I hate men. When did feminism turn so ugly? So she's clearly taking all these shots at Amber Heard, and it's like,
Right.
your husband's testifying. How does this work right now? She writes, okay, go ahead.
They're still married as far as you know?
I know they are. I don't know of. I've been listening to interviews with him, and I know of no divorce as of now. But it wouldn't surprise me if they got divorced somewhere in the midst of this.
Maybe, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Maybe they did, and I just can't. And just so you know, I'm not saying. He goes, and Susan Whitkin says, and just so you know, I'm in no way saying he's perfect or a saint, but he was the same guy she dated. That's her sister.
Yeah.
Later on, had to marry. If he was so bad, why would you force someone to marry you then? He has a heart of gold, and she was a gold digger to steal it. Her motives are devious, but I will say that the apple does not fall far from the tree. And she writes, I'm not defending him. He doesn't need defending. I'm just so sick of her revengeful behavior. This was planned for quite some time. I'm sure of it. Then she writes, women accuse his husband of abuse. Man, this is the exact way he was prior to the marriage. A woman begged the man to get married. The man's behavior hasn't changed. Women gets famous, and the rich man then leaves then she leaves the rich man and then claims abuse. Why marry him to begin with? Are you fearful of men? I hate men. Yet beg to get married. Why? Yup. Because that's my friend is a gold digging bitch with motives.
Jeez.
So this is so bizarre. And so his wife, there's an exchange now. I went on her Instagram.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of her.
She pulls no punches. Good Lord.
No, and I don't think she even. I went on her Instagram, and that's been taken down.
Okay.
So Bruce Whitkin's wife actually took her Instagram down.
That's bizarre. Who is she? Maybe I miss. Who is she implying the apple doesn't fall far from the tree? Is she talking about Amber?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Like, what tree is she falling from? Her dad?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't. Her parents are not famously. What does she know about her parents?
Right. Exactly right. I think they're taking liberties at that point, just like going with what they knew from the trial.
Yeah.
This is Bruce Whitkin with Depp's ex-wife, who is as anti-Amber Heard as you could be. And this is a few years ago. They're just see him there on the right.
Yes. Oh yeah.
She writes, no doubt we bored the shit out of my cousin and her boyfriend who were visiting in LA. It's all fun and games. We start talking about an 8-inch appendix removal, quote unquote. So this is Jesus. This is only 3 years ago.
Wow.
So somehow they're chummy and having dinner together, and he's testifying against Depp.
Yeah.
I just can't track this.
So that's Bruce on the right, and next to him is his wife, and then Lorianne.
Yeah, she's actually not in this picture.
She
Lori
took
Depp's
the picture.
not. She's taking the picture. I think she's not in it.
Okay.
And this is her Instagram, and
okay.
Sorry.
You're good.
So now she goes on to do this Popcorn Planet. They're doing a telethon for Make-A-Wish Foundation, Johnny Meyer's favorite charity. And Lori comes on there and does a short interview with them, and credits to Popcorn Planet for landing this, and donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation through this. And that guy, the kid that is terminally ill, Captain Corey, is kind of part of this. And they kind of revisit through some of the grifters that we're doing all along. And this is his wife. This is his ex-wife. I've never ever seen her in speaking in a video of any kind.
So happy we have Lori Depp. How are you doing, Lori?
I don't know. I'm nervous. I've never been on camera
Don't be
before.
nervous. We're all friends here. We're all happy for you. And thank you for being here and thank you for doing this and rallying up funds. I will say you've been a supporter of his. I know.
Yes, Stone Cut. DiCaprio is the cousin Oliver of Growing Pains.
Totally.
That's exactly right. This is perfect.
He's the Scrappy Doo of the franchise.
Yes. He had that surfer hairdo that was going around at that time with Christian Laettner.
No, behind the scenes, throughout the trial and whatnot, you were clearly out there ensuring that Johnny won, and that says something for an ex to be out there positively supporting their ex. That's usually a pretty good sign of things. Now, I don't want to speak out of turn. I know you're not. We don't need to get into private stuff, but it sounds like you still support your ex, Johnny. Is that fair to assume?
Absolutely, 100%.
Amazing. So just so people understand, you were his first wife, correct?
Very first one we got married in 1983.
1983.
Hey, Brendan, wherewithal is a great euphemism for celebrity A-list. Brendan writes, my theory is men are attracted to young women, but unlike Leo, most of them lack the wherewithal. So wherewithal means A-list fame because no one ain't getting shit without that.
That's totally a euphemism for fame and cultural cachet.
Speaking of DiCaprio, do you buy into the gay theory that a lot of people are floating now, that it's all beard, over the top beard stuff?
Not really.
What do you get off him, Gator wise?
I mean, it's interesting because the acting in films after, like, let's say, whatever the Aviator or something like that, where he's playing all these tough guys, but he's
more
still
like the Aviator,
if you know what I mean. So he does come off as kind of whiny. So maybe that's what people are reading into. Like he seems
there's something androgynous looking about him, or man-childy, or right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean,
and he looks asexual. Like he looks like it doesn't look.
He does.
When he's with a woman, they're getting like, this seems weird and forced.
It's sort of the thing that like Jennifer Aniston suffers from, where she just seems like sexless to me.
Yes.
I mean, and not that she looks unattractive, but just she seems so not sexual to me.
Right.
And same with Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, I sort of feel like, his painting Kate Winslet nude in Titanic was just like, no, I'm an art lover. Like, you truly don't believe that there's, he just, I mean, talk about boyish insouciance,
Oh my God. He's very fruit baskety, foppish.
Foppish is a good word. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jazz handy body language when you see him.
Yes.
I get that too off him. It's where there's jazz hands, there's bathhouses usually.
Yes.
I don't know. That's fine. I'm going along with that theory. I love.
Yeah, could very well. I mean, I think that Kevin Spacey fooled people for a lot of years.
Yeah,
too.
I was fooled by it. My cousin was the first one to out him, and I didn't really buy it, and I couldn't have been more right.
Yeah. The first wife.
Oh, by the way, David, before you go on, I got a great clip, and I'll find it somewhere. Stuttering John got this Kevin Spacey coming out of her premiere, and he's with Laura Dern, and he's pretending to be heterosexual. Like nobody knows about. Like this is one of those lost kind of things where.
Yeah.
So Kevin Spacey's like scurrying out of the theater, and he's with Laura Dern, and he's like, she's his beard, and he's pretending to be heterosexual when John gets to him.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Ralph claims to be friends with Kevin Spacey, by the way.
Of course. Yeah, it's a whole spider web of ridiculous. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No. She, Lorianne is very cute. She has a Mary Steenburgen look to her.
Yeah. Did you watch Gilbert Grape and Depp's affair with Mary Steenburgen?
What? I don't know. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's crazy. You brought that up without even thinking about that.
Yeah, I didn't. I had to go back in my memory.
Yeah, thank you, Y.68 and Dorian Morgan. So Morton Downey was syndicated. Texaho says it too.
Wow. So yeah, what phase of Johnny? So that with 83, this was like that was early.
That was way early. He still had a mullet, and I actually I cut it off because.
If you see his wedding pictures, he has a little mullet in the back. Bruce Wickham goes on to, in one of the, I probably won't play it here this time. But he says, and I, you know how I go nuts on Depp and the long hair. I think it's so antiquated and forced, and he's got to cut. It's just doesn't work on any level. He looks way better in short hair. Nevertheless, when left to his own devices, when he was actually in rock and roll, he had nothing but short hair. So the long hair is nothing he even was passionate about. He suddenly feels he has to have it now when he's around these dinosaur rockers all the time.
Yeah.
So I've always been against long hair.
It's always, you know, I think I was saying this last time I was on or something, but, you know, Depp has it within him to be so much his own person. And yet there's so many instances where he's easily swayed into bad decisions by people who are less intelligent than him or less talented than him. And it reveals to bring it back to this, like it reveals the imposter complex. Like these people, you know, Marilyn Manson knows better than me.
Did you watch the trial? Was he ever diagnosed with imposter complex? Because I don't think they said that, but he definitely has that.
I don't think so.
Without question, he might have it more than I do.
Yeah, I believe that.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's it just destroys your I don't know. Because the opposite of that is entitlement. We don't like those people, do we?
I was going to say, like, the one benefit of, you know, any variation of imposter complex is that it does force you to be shrewd about how you do whatever it is that you do, because sometimes it's more important to know what you don't like in yourself than to know what you do like in yourself, because you're always coast on that, you know.
I have it at like Costco, where I'll go into Costco and I'll be like, I don't deserve to be here. I swear to God.
I don't deserve these Kirkland water bottles.
That's such a funny line. I don't deserve these Kirkland water bottles. That's the meme that should be made.
Oh God.
We're living in Florida, and he's got this mullet, and I met him when he was 17. So like I took all his bad things away from him. I shouldn't say that. And I tried to give him, you know, to like do new things because he wanted to.
Wow, she's taking credit for his Hollywood kind of
transformation.
Transformation. She's calling him like Florida trash with a mullet, essentially, is what she's saying here.
Get into this band called The Kids, and they were really kind of like hip, to use a really old lady term. But so I bought him new clothes and cut his hair, and the next thing you know, he was in the band. And
wow.
And it just started from there.
Yeah, Bruce Witkin tells a story. He wanted, like, he was trying to get into that band. Bruce Witkin's mother is like a talent booker. So they moved to Florida, the Witkins from the Bronx. He had like a Howard backstory of like he was getting his lunch money stolen from Bronx schools in the 70s. The Bronx is a badass place back then, make no mistake. So they moved to Florida. The mom was a talent booking agent, and she was booking this band all over. Now that's kind of how that happened. So now I blame Bruce Witkin for Depp dropping out of school.
Right.
Because he's basically coming at him with like, oh, my mother's booking us in all these clubs. You can't go to high school at the same time you're doing this. We're going to open for the Pretenders and the B-52s and U2 and REM. We're on a rocket ship to stardom.
Right.
What do you need school for? So Bruce Witkin got his GED and then went to like community college at the same age. So they don't say it directly here, but I'm blaming Bruce Witkin for making Depp drop out of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Because he's a lot of people obviously know him as actor, but he started, and it seems like even now his heart's always been in the music. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah. It's funny because we used to sit in my car late at night and listen to Motown.
This is an interesting them hanging. I want more stories like this.
Yeah.
Which we're not getting. Tonecott, you're right. Mad TV was a lot like Living Color, but with more white people.
More white people. That's true.
Yeah, Fox has that. What would you call it, David? This is a term you probably know. Is it a cinematography or a shooting style that felt Fox to you back then?
Yes, totally.
I don't know what to call it.
Well, Fox was almost like the
Tone?
high-end. Fox was almost like the high-end version of what Howard was trying to do with like the Channel 9 show or the E show, where they're trying to be kind of in your
Edgy.
face and provocative and edgy, right? Exactly. But but it's still like part of it is like
That's what
if you,
Jump Street, right? I mean, that was the angle.
yeah.
We're going for teens. We're going to make it edgy. We're going to say the N word. We're taking on huge controversial issues. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah, and if you look at just on a technical level, I always felt there was a difference with a show. Like all of the NBC sitcoms were shot on film, but Mad TV and Fox shows were shot on videotape, and the bigger frame rate for videotape makes it look cheaper, and so you just feel kind of like more low rent watching like a Fox show. You know what I mean?
No, that explains it better than anyone has ever. Because I used to ask people this. I would say, doesn't it feel and look like a Fox show? So from like Parker Lewis Can't Lose to that 70s show to
Yes.
whatever, you know it's a Fox. Married with Children, Gary Shandling, you know it's a Fox show by the way it feels and it's shot. And I never heard anybody. So you're saying it's taped rather
Yeah,
than
so like if you look at if you compare Seinfeld to Married with Children, so Seinfeld is shot on film, so the frame rate is, you know, like maybe 23 frames per second, so it feels like you're watching something that would be shown in a movie theater. And like, do you remember when TVs came out in like 2010 where you could watch like a movie like The Shining, but you could turn it into like videotape latency where it looked like it was all sped up and
I didn't
stuff.
know that. No, I didn't know you could do that.
Anyway, so yeah, if you compare that to like Married with Children, it's clearly shot on videotape where the frame rate is, there's just more frames per second, so it feels it's also videotape itself is cheaper. So I think those kind of sitcoms, Married with Children or The Nanny or something, got a bad rap because they were shot on videotape and not on film.
Also, do you the CW/WB has another feel to it as well. But when
that has like an after school soap opera special kind of feel to it, like Seventh Heaven or any of those shows. Like the saturation is like really bright, is my memory of like, you know, looking at James Van Der Beek and having to cover my eyes at how bright the screen was. You know? Yeah, they all have like just weird, depending on what kind of cameras they're using and how, you know, all those types of shows I'm sure have consensuses with the people who make them about, this is how we light this type of show. This is how, you know, because they feel like that's part of the way that people get addicted to watching them, or that they're used to watching them or something like that. So
yes.
Yeah.
Like if you look at 21 Jump Street, it feels like even the dramas had a feeling to it that the others didn't. So like 21 Jump Street felt and looked differently than ABC, CBS, or NBC.
Right.
And then you go and watch The X-Files, which is another Fox drama, and that feels like Jump Street. It has the same,
it does, yeah.
Like you said, like it's a cinematography, and it's shot in Canada too. So
right. And Jump Street is shot on film as well, but it's lit like a soap opera.
Right.
So I do think it is, it has something to do with frame rate, what kind of camera is being used, and also just the lighting, and also the color correction too. You know, it's like the JEANNE du BARRY movie. I think I made this joke before, but you know, whenever Depp is going to do like a movie based on a French novel, I just see like a blue gauze over the film immediately. You know, there's going to be some horrible color processing that just makes it feel important, you know. So
I'm still trying to see what the benefits from that trial are artistically to a cinema fan and fan of his quote unquote work. Because as I understand, as I know, City of Lies and Minamata, which he made and came out while he was quote unquote canceled, are far better than the pieces of shit that are coming out after the trial.
I agree.
So I don't know what the trial did cinematically. I've no evidence that anything's on the upswing unless I start picking the scripts for him. Like I said, Amber cannot be blamed for Mordecai and Transcendence and all that shit.
Right.
Lone Ranger.
Yeah, and I think that who is a more Depp, when Depp is at his best in Blow or in Donnie Brasco or in Black Mass, who is a more interesting character study than 8 weeks of Johnny Depp? I mean,
Yeah.
The whole multiverse surrounding those two, fascinating. Just
Yes.
all the people and sometimes for not all the Coachella con artists, they're fascinating for just being grifters. I want to know more about how I can hate them.
Yes, that's right. I mean, hating on Amber Heard was as much of a motivation for
Yes.
anybody. It became the thing to do, regardless of you don't care about any of his. We got into this because we're fans of his. We are fascinated as a person, but his work is why we stayed on board.
Right.
And so you no longer have any interest in the cinematic artistry of it all. You just care about hating Amber Heard.
Right.
And that's where all this has gone. Sorry.
You're good.
Who was in there on Saturday night? Arm stays home on Saturday. G Canada writes. I remember people asked me about it when I was young, and I would just laugh. I'm sure Bad Boy Arm has never missed an episode.
Oh, of SNL.
Yeah, or just anything.
Anything. Right. Yeah.
And I don't know if he had heard much of it before we met. I'm sure his mom played it or his sisters played it, but we literally sat for hours and hours.
Yes, Pell. Lorne Michaels and Vince McMahon have a ton of similarities, and Howard.
Yes, that's true.
There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
hours just listening to Motown music, and
man exploited those wrestlers.
I've had quite an interesting life, so I would tell him these crazy stories about what I've done. And the funny thing is all the people that you hear about him working with now, or meeting, or hanging out with, are all people I met when I was in my teens. So it's like Steven Tyler, and I knew Manson before he knew Manson, and not that I'm friends with Manson, but we had this.
Isn't this crazy? She knows all the same people, and
and she's so benign too. Like Amber is so affected, and Kate Moss is so affected. But she seems like the cool mom who whose house you'd want to hang out with her son after school or something.
Yeah.
She seems
look
so
at
normal.
Look at him right there. He couldn't look more clean cut and normal.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like you compare that to, like I said, left to his own devices. It was that hair. That's what that long hair thing he didn't have until Benny and June was the first time he ever had actual long hair.
Right.
And he's 30. He's 30 at the time.
Yeah.
Amazing mutual friend who passed away. And so I kind of knew all these people.
How bad do I want footage of this wedding?
Oh my
Somewhere
God.
out there. So I think I can't tell if his mother's there, but I think his dad went to this. I think there's a shot of him and his father somewhere.
Okay.
I got to pull out the pictures.
I love Depp's Colonel Sanders tie. Look at that.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's pretty cool, actually.
Oh, I love it.
Right, Kentucky Colonel Sanders is from
Totally,
Kentucky,
yeah.
right?
Good Kentucky boy.
I didn't even notice that. Good catch.
Before he did. And it's just kind of come full circle, I guess, for him. I don't know.
So what was it like when you saw this man you clearly appreciated? It sounds like, you guys were ended things amicably where you have respect for each other. I don't want to pry. It's none of my business, but it sounds like you ended things positively at least, or came to those terms. What were you feeling when you saw She Who...
Like I said, he was 20 in that picture.
Yeah.
She's 25 and he's 20, which is so the opposite of what we think of now. Do you believe in the Clooney thing, David, to people in Hollywood? They say, I'm sorry, I'm losing my... You are stuck at the age that you first became famous at.
Oh, completely. And that is true of stand-up comedians who are complaining about cancel culture and they can't say anything. It's like, you can say whatever you want, but they're mad that they can't make money off of it anymore.
Right. Right. You're worried about monetizing yourself. You're not worried about freedom of speech. There's a difference.
Exactly.
You want to play the game in mainstream. You can't say cunt every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Or some rant about, how much you hate women or whatever, how racist you are. Yeah, that's the repercussions. You can't play around on Disney ABC if you're going to do that.
Right.
We've done that for years.
Well, and also there are stand-up comedians who are, quote, smarter than, like, I guarantee you, if there are some comedians who maybe they were at their apex in the early 2000s, and if it was still politically correct to say something was gay, meaning it's stupid, they would keep using that word.
Yeah, if you can get away, right?
And so they're smart to, like, I mean, smart in the sense that they want to keep making money and be relevant. So they like, like Howard is doing Evolve, but Howard did it stupid. He's just a moron. But there are people who, like, even a Billy West, I think, is a good example of someone who, he's behind some of the sort of most not politically correct and funniest stuff on the Stern Show, but he's in Futurama and he's the voice of Bugs Bunny, and it hasn't really, he just was able to navigate it. I mean, he's also talented, that helps, but
that's an interesting thought. What if someone decided to turn the cancel culture onto Billy West and go, this guy's doing voices for Futurama and Cheerios commercials. Listen to this Marge Shot character. That's a really good point.
Well, I think that, you're only, one of the things we always talk about on Gunk is, like, we'll play a montage of Howard using the N-word and say to ourselves, like, well, why is he not canceled? How does he keep surviving? And I actually am glad he's not canceled, because it's the true testament of his irrelevance. He is too irrelevant to be canceled, and I love that, because I'm sure it just kills him,
Well, he's also, I mean, he's so high up in Sirius that he has ironclad in his contract. Nothing I do, I can be taken off the air unless I take myself off the air. And so there's all sorts of legal entanglements, and he's got his own little compound where nobody, unless they go have Richard streak through the Cosmo thing, which is so crazy. If those broads are probably so terrified to challenge him at the time that they didn't strike any kind of sexual harassment suit, because there's a zillion things you could do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. David C. writes a great comment. Billy West won't get canceled because he has the Stern effect over him. That is true. Other people who are sort of synonymous with Howard can continue to be who they are. I don't know what it is about association with that show, whether it's like, who's the
Billy could also say, I didn't write this. Jackie wrote it.
Jackie wrote it, right? Yeah. Like Lisa Lampanelli is a great example of someone who can continue to make horrible, hacky, racial jokes and gay jokes and whatever jokes, and she won't get canceled.
I haven't seen her in a while. I wonder if she still goes to that in today's climes. If she still goes to that lazy fucking, she's so overrated. She's so
she's the worst.
I see her in these roasts and I'm just going, what do we think? She just tries way too hard to be shocking. You can see right through it. She's so overrated.
You know who else is the worst, and she might be in one of the roasts, is Judy Gold. She's, I mean, my favorite.
I bet you she hates Lisa Lampanelli because she thinks she stole her act.
Right.
That's the same tone. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and the only one of my favorite female comedian is Maria Bamford, the blonde from Minnesota, who she does a bit about shitty female comedians. I'll text it to you sometime, but it's hilarious because she hits every trope of how, there's some women like your Amy Schumers and your Nikki Glazers, and they just or your Whitney Cummings. They just think by being dirty, they're being funny because
I say this all the time. I said this on Gunk all the time, that those roasts on Comedy Central wrought this kind of phase of these not dirty birdie female comedians who all have the same. You could basically like change interchangeable acts, like where Whitney Cummings could do Amy Schumer's act, and Amy Schumer could. Who's the broad, the skinny broad, the blonde?
Nikki Glazer.
Nikki Glazer. They all have the same material. They all have the same. They're the same thing. They get famous from a roast, and it's all from dirty jokes.
Yeah.
Which it's my god, this chick is saying crazy shit, and they all got famous from the Comedy Central roasts. It's amazing. It's a pipeline of them.
Yeah, and you know, I Susie Essman from Curb Your Enthusiasm like was a stand-up in the 90s, and one of her HBO specials was streaming on HBO Go or something many years ago, and I watched it, and it's kind of her act too. Like, so this whole thing of you know, women resorting to toilet humor or talking about their vaginas or whatever it is, has been going on for a long time. So it's weird that they wouldn't evolve from that, you know?
Where do you
And
go
there's,
from there? Like,
right, exactly. And there's hacky male comedy that people don't evolve either. I'm not saying it's just with women, but, I don't know. I notice it more with female comedians. That most of them are a lot of, I only know the hacky ones, and I know I'm a fan of a lot of female stand-ups too, but maybe there's just less of them doing it or something. I don't know.
well, they act like it's our responsibility to keep them afloat, or you're not
Right.
just out there begging for attention or money. Like, you really care about you're at least comedians when they go, they love attention and they love fame and they love money more than
Mhm.
you think any of this altruistic thing. Like, I love to make people laugh. Do you really think that's the first thing that they care about? It's the last thing they care
Yeah.
about. So when they want to get canceled, like, then if you're so talentless, you can't be funny any other way than
Right.
yelling the C word or saying something, then you don't deserve a career.
You
Where
don't.
can you
Yeah.
monetize that? You should know, like Bob Levy or something. What are you gonna do with this shit outside of a Jersey firehouse? What are
Yeah.
you? How could you? Like, he thinks he belongs on TV, and God knows, like, oh, they missed me, or what can you do to monetize that horse shit?
Yeah.
Where does it go beyond the furthest you can go with it is the old Stern show? What else
Yes.
can you do with it?
Right. And it's the same with like uh the whole cult of like Norm Macdonald fans, that are, they liked that he was like prodding and provocative, but then there's a lot of male stand-ups who
Oh,
like,
he kowtowed to the. He had to go. He went on the View and like apologized to them like a
yeah,
bitch. Like, he went out. He'll kowtow to the man like no one's business. He's not
right.
some fucking bastion of integrity at all.
Yeah, and there's these male comedians who sort of like look to him as like, I'm never going to
Yeah,
apologize and all this stuff.
right.
And
He
the reason,
apologized just fine. Go watch a clip on him on the View crying.
yeah, and their jokes are just as horrible. They just want to use
Oh, they want
offensive
the
words.
attention. Yeah, they want
Right.
the attention for. I'm so important that you even care about me to cancel me. It's
Yeah.
almost like you're playing professional martyr at that point. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
love the attention because you care enough about me to even want to cancel me. I'm a victim. I'm a professional martyr. You know,
It's so bizarre that
you
stand-up
can't force
comedy,
me to buy your shit. You
right.
lose your audience, you lost it. You don't control. That's what I said about Depp during the trial. There's no canceling him. You decide as a consumer whether he's canceled. I'm the one who supported him in City of Lies. I saw Minamata. I saw The Professor.
Yes.
I was there all along as a quote unquote. Where were you people in the theater when I
Right.
was there by myself?
Yes.
You decide whether he's canceled or not. You don't let 7 stranger jurors in Fairfax decide who's
Yeah.
canceled. That's the same with these comedians who claim about the cancel culture. If
Well,
people don't want to come to your show, they don't feel like they got better things to do with their entertainment dollar, and they should. You're not that funny. You're not that
right.
entertaining.
You're not that good. And there's no reason for comedy clubs to cancel comedians, because they only care about if
If
they
you're
can get
bringing in the
butts and
asses.
seats.
Yep.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's such an interesting. She's
Yeah.
Shall not be named. Coming out like she.
I mean, I had met her before. I'd been to parties at at his house, and she seemed really nice, and she was gorgeous.
I mean, you talk about the textbook thing of staying friends with your ex-wife. He's inviting her to
Yeah.
parties at his house when Amber Heard's there. You know, like,
Right.
she's is the only better ex-wife I can think of is Allison Stern.
Completely.
Without
Yeah.
fame and that
It's
TV. That's right, Pellel. DiCaprio would be a creep without the fame and the mindset. He'd be just known as the town creep. That's exactly right. You take that out of Hollywood, he's just the town creep.
Well, I also think with DiCaprio, it's because he was a star when he was young and like fuckable. You know what I mean? Like in Titanic or something. You know,
Yeah.
If it's like if you look at who's the Steve Buscemi. Like Steve Buscemi is like a very strong face. He's not that attractive, but you know, there's a picture of him when he was like 20 and he was like a fireman, and it's like, oh, he's kind of attractive. And
Right.
it's like he might, if he had broken at that age, would he have Leonardo DiCaprio's career?
Yes.
You know?
Yes, that's good. That's a perfect. He's just like this quirky character actor who plays the ugly Weasley sort of, you know,
Yeah.
squirrely looking guy, and he's never going to be
Yeah.
cast as a lead in anything. Right. That's a great example.
Gorgeous, and what's not to love? But you know, as the time went by, and I would hear things about her, and she who shall not be named, you know, he didn't seem too happy all the time. I didn't see him a lot, so I can't really say. I just.
Thank you, Ida Greenbacks. I apologize. My phone keeps ringing. That's okay, Ida. We're lucky to have you on any level, in any way, shape, and form.
Ida's the best.
Again,
She's so supportive.
I get touched by her. She's on your Instagram all the time with compliments and stuff. All the time. You can always count on her to give you a little bit of a boost of some kind.
Yeah, she's really, really sweet person. Yeah.
Everything right about these communities.
Yes.
The things that affected me more were the things he said in court. I probably broke down several times because I felt really bad for him. You know, he's very private, which is why I don't do interviews. He's very private. And I think for him to come out so wholeheartedly.
There's a weird monofilament running through a lot of Depp's exes. They're very pale. They're very, very like goth white, like real white girls, like no pigmentation, no Mediterranean at all. Winona Ryder, to her, to Sherilyn Fenn, to Kate Moss, they're all super duper white, like Tim Burton white.
I was going to say, no wonder he keeps agreeing to work with Tim Burton.
Mary Steenburgen and David C. are the two famous people from their town. She's also on Curb Your Enthusiasm, David.
She is.
She's playing herself. She's good on that, playing herself with Ted Danson. My favorite scene involves her and Ted Danson when the Green's daughter sings "You're just too good to be true, can't take my," in a very mediocre way, and they act like she's the next Streisand. I think it's the funniest scene. I mean, that show's amazing, but
that show's
for me, it's the funniest scene ever. I don't know why. I watch it over and over. I'm gonna get a little like just a little sound drop from that for next time. She does like this little dance, like it's just like a bad dance.
My favorite, this is such a throwaway line, but it just makes me laugh every time, is it's the episode where they get thrown out of their country club because they tried to remove Jeff's like 5-iron from a coffin from a guy who was going to be buried with a golf club.
God, what a plot that is.
I know. Anyway, but I'm not going to do it justice, but like they're thinking about joining this new country club, and Larry's like, well, they don't have carts there. And he's like, I'd have to get a doctor's note to like get a golf cart. And Susie's like, then get a fucking doctor's note. And Larry's like, I don't know any doctor. It's just the way he says it is so funny.
In the country club, ironically.
Yeah, exactly.
Was what he really needed to do. And I thought it was either going to be a epic train wreck or it was going to go really well. In fact, I would call Isaac sometimes and say, what's happening? What's happening? Is he okay? And he said, don't worry.
See, she's still involved in every step of his life. She knows Isaac Baruch. She's texting him about it's so bizarre. Like, there's Pellel wrote it, that he blamed himself for his, that's really self-deprecating, Pellel, right? And talk about imposter complex here. He goes, I have it too. The biggest danger is actually talking yourself into failure when it's not even there because you actually believe it. That's true. That's a huge, huge criteria of imposter complex.
You're just
we're going to win this.
Yeah.
And I would literally hang up the phone from Isaac and just walk around crying because I was terrified for him. I think it would have killed him. Well, maybe not. But it just broke my heart that somebody could do that to him. I mean, look, I'm no angel. I've done my share of shitty things to people, but what she did was absolutely horrific. And if there were things that I could do to her that were legal, I would do them. You know, I would. I'm a horrible person for the most part.
No. You know, the funny thing is, I have to say, like,
I really, guys, I became a fan the day of the trial because I wasn't going to watch it. And then I found the channel. I found the Popcorn Planet channel, and I didn't stop. That was I watched.
Oh, hey, Bon Jovi. Yeah, I thought I'd
Bon.
throw you an invite because I can't speak tonight, as you can tell right now. David, thankfully, was willing to come on. Strange night. We don't usually do this on Monday. And no, but thank you for getting back to me. Look, it's way too late, but I heard myself speaking before, and I was just like, I don't know if I can carry this with the speed talking.
These people are grifters who got in on the trial because it was like the latest thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Not Depp
They
fans.
cover whatever's big, you know, like Britney Spears one week,
Right.
and then it's Alec Baldwin, and then it's Gwyneth Paltrow, and they kind of graft onto. In this case, it went on a whole new level of like, now they're fake pretending to be fans.
Right.
So now we're going to pretend that we've been longtime fans, and you can see like the mispronouncing movies and don't know, you know, and just like, and it's all the Amber Heard grift.
Yeah.
And which is part of me wanted the trial to either end fast or not be televised at all. So you wouldn't have had this ilk.
Right. Well, and she probably agreed. Lori probably agreed to do it because she knew if she's been watching them since the trial that she would get nothing but softballs. And
yeah.
It's like the fake Norm Macdonald interviewing Steve Langford, or you know, just total softball interviews and stuff.
Yes. No question about it. That's the tone. And it's the easiest thing in the world is to just agree with everything Depp says and does, and never giving him blame for anything.
Right.
Even right down to not picking shitty films for almost a decade straight, which is like, you can prove, I mean, it's factually written by his agent as to what happened to play. That's fine, but don't confuse. We're in this because we're cinema fans, aren't we? Or are we just schadenfreude parasites who just want to watch the world burn?
Right.
We love celebrities going down. Is that the real motivation for this? It's like they're not even fans of his, which is the most irritating thing to me over and over again.
Yeah.
I can't take it.
They're not doing a Jump Street watch along.
No. They don't know the show exists until the biography's read.
They're not going to the astronaut's wife to find the character actor that appeared in a 21 Jump Street episode and put it in the same episode.
Oh my God, you remember that?
Yeah, the Tom O'Brien.
Geez, so yeah. God, yeah. Jeez, I can't believe you remember that. That's Jake Whittaker from the baseball episode, Low and Away.
Right.
He was one of the astronauts in the group picture. I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And now I'm a fan. And when Andy got to meet Johnny, I was more excited than if I would have gotten to be in the same room with, Jeff Beck once again in my adulthood. But no, I love all you guys, you and Steph, and her hair is completely on point today.
I know, right? She looks amazing.
You, Laurie. And sorry, I didn't say hi as you came in. I'm producing a buttload in the background. But hello, lovely to finally meet you, lads. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
I'm really happy that I could give what I can, if it's just a few minutes of my time, to this charity.
Bill Burr is a great example of the Me Too, not the Me Too, but the cancel culture. He's a very mainstream comedian now. I really find him to be very funny. I really like that guy a lot. And you're right. He did a masterclass on how to adjust to the culture. And while not getting canceled, you can't cancel him. He's found the cheat code to the whole. That's a brilliant example, Pellel. Yeah, Bill Burr is that's a masterclass in how to get around it.
If Louis C.K. had not been Me Too'd, he would be another example of someone who was able to adapt.
Yep.
I listened to his most recent stand-up special, and it's very funny. I still enjoy his comedy, and some of it is not. I think if he hadn't already been canceled, like they would try to maybe do it again, but in the way that they do to Bill Burr, where it's like they don't really. He's too talented or too.
And he owns it. He owns it.
Right.
He's very self-aware of what he's saying and who he's saying it to, and gets in front of it before you can get to him. He knows exactly what they're going for. He's watched it. His peers go down. He's like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to own this.
Yeah,
Chris Rock is another one. Chris Rock, you're never taking him down. And thank God.
They construct the comedy so well.
Yeah, it's so funny. Right. It's so strong. You can't take it down because the comedy's so strong.
Right.
You can't put. That's a great point. G. Canada agrees with you, David. Exactly. It's a secular providence. Nobody cares about Howard anymore.
Yeah.
Lesser known celebrities and private citizens get canceled all the time. Yes, Texaho.
Because all charities are worthy, and children's charities even that much more. And I watched Captain Corey, and I became a Captain Corey bitch immediately.
Gilbert
and I give what I can when I can. I'm involved in a lot of pet and animal charities, so I try to spread it around as much as I can. And I'm so excited to be talking to you guys.
Well, no, we're excited too, and I appreciate because I don't. Again, we're here to celebrate.
Yeah, that's a good one, Debbie. She looks like Mary Steenburgen and Judith Regan had a kid.
She
at this point, right? She's got that both their facial qualities.
I like her. She has good mom energy. I don't know.
Yeah, she does.
She's
very
charming.
feisty. Wow, good head on her shoulder.
But yeah, but common sense and pragmatic, and no, I like her.
Bon Jovi, give a promotion for the Casey show. I hope to catch. I gotta fully catch that this week. I haven't been on when it's been live, and I think I can this week. If you're still listening.
Great, and I thought this is. I've been trying. I would love to have had you on the show before, but I didn't want to. This seems weird. What do we? But I thought this was the perfect opportunity to celebrate all it is, and it's for a good cause. And in fact, you have a special gift to give away, don't you?
I do. I have.
Do we have? Can we do another raffle, Steph? You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
Yeah, apparently, Depp writes the foreword for this. Gimme shelter.
Book. So hold on. Speak again, Lori. So it goes to you.
It's Gimme Shelter.
There we go.
Lori Kilpatrick.
This is a book I published. God, it's already been over 10 years.
Don't cut. That's really funny. Shuli Egar is the real deal. He isn't in for the money or to make people laugh. I saw this. God, I think it was Fudgesicle who's obsessed with just all things John and Shuli and exposing them. And I think it went to this thing called Shuli's Anonymous on Reddit, and his nickname is, his last name's Egar.
Right.
They call him Shuli Begar because he's on, Twitter and it's begging for money all the time. That's so good.
God.
So simple, but so great. Shuli Begar. I don't know. I'm jealous I didn't think of that first.
Do you remember years ago, there was a Kickstarter or something for someone wanted to, this was when Shuli was still on the show, to get him removed from the Stern Show. I forget who, someone wrote, I think you guys might have.
Pittsburgh Pete.
Maybe. I think you guys covered it on the Shuli show, actually, but there was someone who did not a GoFundMe, but
I think it was Pittsburgh Pete.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he was, think about it, right? He came in last place in the Win Stuttering Johns contest, and it's like saying, the fans hate your guts. You have no charisma. I don't care how bad you want it. And if you had any respect for the show you supposedly love, you would not go. You would stay away. You would not voice yourself onto a show or the Artie Chair because you would have respect for the audience that hates you. You would not want to sully. You're never going to win them over. They hate you then. They hate you more now. You shouldn't want to be on the show where you came in last, for Christ's sake, in the Win Stuttering Jobs contest. That tells you all you need to know. David C. Buscemi is a manly man. He actually does a really funny Adam Sandler tribute at that Mark Twain thing. If you get a chance to watch it, it was on CNN. In fact, he's really good. He did a really, really interesting, quirky job.
And Johnny did the foreword. I'll tell you who we have in it. Steven Tyler's in it.
Oh my God. I just remember. Can I tell me his favorite Steve Buscemi story real briefly?
Yes, please.
He lived in Brooklyn at the same time I did, in the same Park Slope. So it's always either I'm walking or running, and I'd see him. So this time, he comes into the pizza place that I'm in and gets a slice. I turn around and Buscemi's having like a slice on the side.
Oh my gosh!
I go, I got to. I walk over to him and I go, what do? I bring up the Depp portal, and I'm talking about. He goes, I go, God, because I can't believe you were in Dead Man with Depp, because he's like, I wasn't in Dead Man. He goes, what? I had read like a false casting in like Premiere Magazine that put him in Dead Man. So I watched Dead Man a few times, and I just assumed he was unrecognizable in the background. Right. And he's just like, nah, I wasn't in Dead Man.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm arguing with him. I go, yes, you were. He's like, no, I know what I'm not in. I wasn't in Dead Man. I'm telling you. I'm like, yes, you were. Yes, you were. I'm like, an hour and 10 minutes or something. He's like, and he's such a sweet guy. And then I changed subjects to The Sopranos and Trees Lounge, which is a movie he directed about what his life would be like if he wasn't an actor.
Oh, okay.
So he's like hanging out at this old man bar all the time. I'm losing it right now. Let me play her.
Mandy Moore is in it. We've got a buttload of people in it. Those are the people that are in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Buttload.
And this is a harder to get book nowadays, but yeah, Johnny did the forward. This is incredible. Are you, and you have one, and we can wrap. Do you? And can you'll sign a note for it too, or something to put in there with the book?
He was a fireman. He got stabbed. That's right, David. See, like Paul Pierce.
My sister, as the photographer and her book mainly, I can get her to sign them.
Love it.
They want, if that's what people want, for whatever reason. I also have one more thing that Captain Kurtz might really like. Sorry, Colonel Kurtz. This.
All right, Bon Jovi, you're right. I better shut this down. Okay, she's got a Marilyn Manson in the head here. Jesus Christ. If there's no question about it that Depp's entire team wanted him to distance all affiliation to Manson. Right. The more I go through Trent, the more I think about it, the more I hear muted mentions in them and Camille Vasquez objecting. They don't want he is the boogeyman on every level.
Yeah.
Bruce Witkin says it in his testimony. He's like, Marilyn Manson probably was a huge catalyst to putting him down this drug trail, which is why I'm so worried about him.
Yeah.
I mean, Witkin says that a number of times in this trial. So she's giving a bobblehead to away Manson. She knows him.
Can you disenfranchise someone from being your child's godfather?
I never heard of that. That's so funny. David, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. To say I can't do without you is an understatement. I probably would have cut this short an hour and a half without you. You hear me? Shit. Did I mute myself?
I don't know if you
hear me? Did I mute someone? You guys hear me in the chat?
John, I'm sorry, John, are you still there?
Is that me or you? One of us is cutting out. I don't know if it's me or you. Could be me.
See it?
Oh.
Let me great. David C, I see you. Do you hear me? I can't tell if it's me or David that's cutting out. Just want to give it a proper closing. Did you hear that? David, you with me? David? Okay. I don't know if you can hear me, guys. The comments say David's cutting out. Arm I can hear, says Pello. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My internet cuts out at the end. But yes,
that's
okay,
bizarre. The timing of that's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight.
Oh, jeez.
Buscemi was in coffee and cigarettes, Tone Cot. That's, I mean, I was thinking, but they literally wrote he was in Dead Man in several magazines, and I just took it as gospel, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. Anyway, the Patreon, we're going to do Jump Street coming up Saturday with Kathy Scott. Thank you for joining us. We're doing a 90210, I think, tomorrow, if I can handle it. I don't know if I can talk again like this.
Yeah.
Golden Girls as well, coming
Yeah.
up. Gunk will be back soon, at the very least next Monday, I suppose. I'm not sure if what we're doing in between that, maybe something. I had something. I want to thank Boff and Johnny Bye Bye for all your Johnny on the spot books you can in PDF, and Boff with every goddamn thought. You listen and you lurk, and I get the Mad Magazine 21 Jump Street sketch, which I never thought I'd see before. I want to thank everyone in the chat for joining us tonight. This is Arm for David. Oh, thank you, Brian Johnu at the buzzer there. I see you there. Welcome, sir. This is Arm for David and Sarah saying, I was swept away, no one in the world but you and I. Gotta find a way to make you feel the way I do. And I was swept away without a warning, like the night morning begins the day. I was swept away.
Moo! 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 I'm a loser! Eh?
Sit down. Stay where you are. For the first time, I choose to walk out on you.
Jump.